Well,
I'm surrounded by goats.
I know.
Surrounded by all my goats. Look at that.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Even got the goat back pillow for old man back, you know.
Well, that's right. I haven't tried those out yet.
They're actually pretty comfortable. I have one of those like vibrating pillow thingies too.
Whoa, this just got weird.
Yeah, well, it could. Depending on how you use it, I suppose it could. And I like that, but it's not that great as a pillow. Like just to have as a rest on your back. I like a regular pillow a little better. So
yeah.
So that's kind of nice. Yeah. All right. Yo, YouTube. Welcome back to the live with Charlie and Multiple Stews. We do this live show every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. So this is your first time here. Thank you for joining us. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're watching this recorded, try to join us live. This is all about the chat and the interaction and getting to different topics that affect many of us and having those discussions live. Yesterday I kind of sent you some potential topics, kicking some things around, and I feel like every time I do that, where it's like a day or two before, everything changes by the time it gets to the show. Because it was like, well, tariffs. Now it's no tariffs, and then it was, eBay's been acting funky, right? And that seems to have been solved pretty well at this point. We had problems with being able to list stuff and things not showing up in inventory, and people ending eBay listings and then they couldn't find them. It's just been all kinds of stuff all week. I've been trying to, help as much as I can if I know stuff in the Discord, which, by the way, if you're not on the Discord, you're going to see the little link here coming across the bottom of your screen right now. Check that out and join. It is free. We had a couple new members join this week already, so good sign there. We're still seeing that growth. But it's generally our focus is on the selling community. So we're looking at those who are just trying to do it for a little side hustle, just trying to do it to fund their PC, or doing it full time. So get on there if you have any questions or you have any advice. All is welcome for sure. Yeah, it seemed like. So a couple of weeks ago, I had talked about this. I think I was one of the first ones that had some eBay issues, and mine was sales were just dying. Like I was down to like 10 to 15% of my normal sales for a day or two.
Yep.
And I couldn't figure out why. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like this is a decent time of year for me to get sales. I was looking at my sales from last year, and they were strong. I had added a lot more baseball over the last 6 or 8 months. So, generally that's what's going to start, heating up. So like, I don't understand why I would be down. And then all of a sudden, all these functions that weren't working in the app were working. And then my sales were right back to normal. As a matter of fact, I had a pretty robust day as soon as everything was working. So I think that even though maybe other sellers, your issues aren't the same as mine, I think what they're doing is just kind of some maintenance. They're kind of running around trying to fix some stuff, and that can just play havoc with your account, at time.
Yeah.
I know there were some Card Dealer Pro issues. You had a big billing issue, I shouldn't say big, but you had a billing issue that was really weird, and they were down at times. You'd scan stuff and it wouldn't pull up the information. You'd have to try to rehab the, reset the AI, I guess is best way to put it, to get it to try to find stuff. So, I mean, yeah, it's been kind of hellish that way, but I feel like a lot of it has kind of come back to where it's supposed to be.
There's another topic you just glossed over that we can't ignore. This solid fight for first place in the NL Central. Cubs just hanging on to a 1-game lead over the surging Milwaukee Brewers.
Who's got the 1-game lead?
Not for long. You better hold on.
Who's got the 1-game lead?
I believe they lost today, and the Brewers have yet to play. It may be a half. Well, let's see.
Who's got the 1-game lead?
7-5 versus 9-6. I'd have to do the math on that. I don't know if that ties them or puts them at a half game.
It puts them at a half game.
Because the Cubs now are off until the 11th, too.
Yeah, which is actually good. They could use a break because their season started earlier than anyone else's, and having to go to Japan and everything.
Yeah, that travel's got to suck.
And they had to put Justin Steele on the 15-day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and I think that was part of the reason they weren't going to be playing for a while. So I think they were like, well, let's do it. Because he could sit out basically one rotation and then come back in.
Yeah.
Based on their time on their schedule. So I think they were like, let's just do it. We'll give them the 15 days off. Allows us to have that other pitcher there then. There's worst case scenario, he misses a start.
Yeah, and the Brewers still haven't. They're missing a lot of their rotation yet. They haven't even gotten their fully planned 40-man roster on the team yet. So it's good to see them after that tough start against the Yankees surge back. At one point, I think they had a 6-game streak. I saw they lost one the other night, and now they're at a 2-game streak again. So all I'm going to say is watch out.
That's kind of how it happened for the Cubs, too. They dropped those 2 games in Japan to the Dodgers, and then they came back, won 5 in a row.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then they lost one, then I think they won another 3 in a row, and then these last 3 they split. They won all the series. They won like 3 or 4 series in a row.
Yeah.
But they've dropped, a couple of games in that time, too. But it's so early, and they play so many games that it really – you could be on the top today and on the bottom, in a couple of – if you play 7 games in a week, I mean, that's going to be an easy flip, from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a competitive division, and that's kind of what I like to see. I don't like to see really a team run away with it. That's not as much fun.
I agree.
We know the Yankees and the Dodgers are going to be there at the end, and then it's kind of like everybody else trying to see where they fit in and take their shot at challenging those teams.
Sure.
But it's funny you bring that up because I've been buying Sal Frelick cards.
Oh. Yeah.
I think he's kind of a sneaky play. You can get the rookies pretty cheap. When I'm buying around here, they pop up a lot because he's a Brewer.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's so much focus on Churio last year. He kind of didn't get any attention, and he's been playing pretty well. So, I figure now that they're competing, they're past their bunch of early losses, and they're competing, for the top spot with the Cubs and stuff. I think that he could get some more hobby love out of it.
Yeah.
So bought a few of those. Bought some Ohtani today. Of course, I always buy Ohtani. Some Josh Jung, or Josh Young, however you pronounce it. He's good, but I think the best part about his cards is the people in the hobby love him because he's a huge collector. He goes to like shops and stuff, and he's at shows and he's on different content creator channels and stuff. And I thought this could be he does have a World Series ring, so that matters. I just feel like that's not a bad. He's got a likable personality. He's pretty good at his, in the sport. He's pretty elite on his team, and so anyway, so I thought that was good to get a little bit of exposure to Bobby Witt because he just does everything really well. Vlad Guerrero Jr. I picked up some rookies pretty cheap today. He's had a pretty good start.
He just signed an extension too, I believe.
He just signed a big chunk of money, and he didn't go to the Yankees. He didn't go to the Red Sox. He didn't go to the Dodgers. He weaseled that money out of the Blue Jays somehow. So, so I think there was some extra respect points given to him that, you know, he was trying to work out something with the team that he likes playing for.
Yeah.
Also, it's a lot less taxes and when you get paid in Toronto than it is in LA or New York.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know, your money translates into a bigger paycheck that way. So, you know, but hey, whatever. Let's see, who else did I buy? I bought some Wyatt Langford, but that's been kind of meh. Gunnar Henderson stuff has been pretty hot. Ellie, of course. I bought some Dylan Dingler, like rookie parallels and stuff.
Yep.
He's showing some
our tops break that we did.
Yeah. Bryce Harper's hot right now. You know, the Phillies are really good. So just Judge, Volpe, you know, just the Yankees just make sense and Dodgers just make sense. Cam Smith, I bought a few Cam Smith a couple weeks ago and sold all of them. So I found a couple today, just like Bowman first cards and stuff.
Yeah.
But his stuff's been pretty hot. But I mean, Vlad Guerrero Jr. rookies in, you know, value boxes. I mean, that was from what, 2018, I think.
Something like that.
So you don't see a lot of 2018 cards as it is, you know. I don't see that many, at least not rookies.
Yeah.
Logan Gilbert, I don't know much about him, but I've been selling a lot of his stuff. He's a pitcher for, pitcher for Mariners, right? Mariners.
Is it Mariners? I was thinking Cleveland.
Well, right here it says Mariners in giant bold letters on the top.
I would take their word for it then.
I'm going to go with Mariners. But his stuff has been selling pretty well, so about that. Some Heston Kjerstad, I think is how you pronounce it, or Kjerstad.
Mm-hmm.
He's been playing really well. Random, but a Chuck Norris card, because I will always buy a Chuck Norris card. Corbin Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
His stuff's been selling really well. He's been playing well. Trout's start off to a good start, and it seems fairly healthy. Julio Rodriguez. A lot of people don't like Julio Rodriguez cards. I see them like rookie cards sitting in value boxes for not much, and
yeah,
they sell instantly. I'll buy a stack of them, you know, for a good price, list them, and they all sell. So, Acuna Jr. been trying to buy like earlier Acuna stuff since his prices are down a little bit. So I got this nice chrome rookie cup, so technically a second-year card, but again, when you can get it, you know, for under $1.
Yeah.
Jason Dominguez, I've been buying more of his stuff again. He's kind of my Zion Williamson baseball play. So
okay.
Every year he disappoints and the prices go way down and stuff is easy to find, and I buy them. I mean, remember last year when we were buying the Ohtani, like the 10-cent Ohtanis, I was getting Dominguez. I was getting Dominguez rookies for a dime.
Yeah.
Out of those same boxes. Did that. Jackson Holiday looks okay right now. I think he's going to stay in the lineup, which that'll matter. Colton Cowser. So yeah, those were kind of my baseball plays right now. So we'll see what happens.
Kind of surprised you're seeing a little surge in Trout because he's not playing. He doesn't have Trout-like numbers right now. He's hitting 184 with 3 homers, which is okay, but nothing that would make me, as a Trout fan, like really big fan, it's nothing that would make me be like, he's back, baby.
Right. Just Trout just has good hobby. You know, even all these years where he gets injured and he isn't playing, it doesn't matter. The cards sell. So that's what I go by. I don't care. Yeah, I don't really follow sports much. I stay unbiased and I go, well, I have enough cards listed where I can just gauge what's selling just based on my own sales. I don't even really have to do that much research. So if today I sell 20 Trout cards to 20 different buyers, trout's probably a pretty good pickup for me if I can get it with some room. I sold a ton of Ellie rookies, last few days. So I just kind of go off of that. And then when I'm making smaller buys, especially if they're not dime boxes, but they're more dollar box type buys,
Yeah.
I just kind of make a smaller buy off of the stuff that I know is moving right now, and then that stuff is liquid, so that'll sell, and then hopefully the buyer picks up some other stuff, and that's really worked pretty well for me. I like buying just the really big collections, but you can't do that all the time, and you just end up sitting on some of it because there's no way you can list it all.
Right.
So this is stuff where I can take this stack, I can just list it all. It's liquid. They'll all sell within a few days. It'll sell some other stuff in my inventory, and I can make those plays as many times as possible, really.
Yep.
So anyway, so what are you picking up right now? I think you said wrestling mainly.
Yeah, so I've got a ton of backstock on baseball and football, and going through it recently, I realized I've got some really good stuff in there that's doing me no good just sitting there. So I have taken a break from picking up baseball and football, essentially. Now, don't get me wrong. If I walk into a card show and I'm walking past a quarter box, 50-cent box, I'll probably take a peek, and baseball can suck me right back in because that's my passion, right?
I'm sorry, baseball can what?
You heard me.
Yes, unfortunately, it was shocking.
I never totally get away at a show, but
no.
I'm not really seeking it out. I am trying to build up my wrestling inventory because I feel like it's time for me to make a full commitment to wrestling. I've had wrestling since I started, and it started slow for me, but kind of like you said, there's a point where you get a tipping point where you see more consistent buyers of something, and wrestling hit that point for me. And then I also have plenty of wrestling that I don't necessarily want to list because they're, second or third tier wrestlers, where I got into this in-between point of, well, do I make a value box of the rest of the wrestling? Well, if you're going to make a value box, you need enough of it to make somebody stop, right? So I kind of made the decision to go all in on wrestling, and that's typically what I'm looking for. Racing, I had a need for more backstock. I'd run through everything, but I recently made that buy out at Tim's show where I bought out a box, and that's got me set probably for a year again now with racing. So I'm full speed ahead on wrestling. Right now it's, WrestleMania season. Actually, this is all wrestling that I'm looking to list today. A nice Darby Allin die cut, Roddy Piper. That's a chrome. Shorty G. I got to find me an El Grande Americano card now for Chad Gable, but at one time he was trying to do that Shorty G thing. How about a 5-timers John Cena, major storyline? I need to get this listed. Should have had it out there 6-8 hours ago, and I didn't yet. Little Stacy Keibler, Queens of the Ring. The Divas always go well. The whole damn show, Rob Van Dam. Got the Hulkster, of course. Get those classics out there. Stone Cold Steve Austin. And a little Jericho, Chris Jericho in the red from Americana. And one numbered card. This one's numbered out of 99. This is an Origins Charlotte Flair blue foil. It's so dark, it's tough to see on camera, everything, but it's a really nice Origins card. It's the blue foil down here and then blue Origins. But the blue on black, it just kind of fades into the background, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't, that's if we need to do something different tonight, I can always show you how I list these from my phone through the computer into CDP, because I have them all on my phone because I had intended to list them in between things today, and I never got the time to do that. So at some point tonight, I'm going to plug in my phone, send them right to my computer, feed them right into CDP, and do that, whether it's after the show or if you want to take part of the show and show that process as well. Because I know it's different from what you do. It's not something that you typically do, and we've talked about it a few times, but I don't think we ever showed it.
Yeah, because you don't use the feature where you scan the QR code and then
no, I don't
Wi-Fi them in there. You actually plug your phone in, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't do that at all. Generally, anything that I have to photograph, I just list in the app. I've been doing that for years and years and years and years, and it works pretty well, especially right now because I'm adding that banner. But I could take the photo and try to add the banner through CDP and just have them put it on there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I might start doing. I don't like the idea of having to pay for every single thing I upload, which Car Dealer Pro is going to charge you. If I'm already taking the picture myself and not using a scanner and all that, I don't really see like a whole lot of need for Car Dealer Pro.
Yeah.
Intervene in that transaction, but
the banner is the selling point for me now. If I'm back at home and I still have cards on my phone, I want to throw them through CDP and get the banner on there. But
I found a way to add the banner on my own. So I've just kind of been doing that. And it's like anything. I'm like, okay, well, I created a separate folder just for the banner because I can't create it as an actual photo frame, which is what I really want to do, hoping to accomplish that at some point. So what I did was I just created a separate folder and threw it in there. So essentially when I layer, I just take my photo, I hit the other album, which pops up right away, throw that photo on there, and then I just got to kind of drop it into position wherever and I mean, I've even gotten better now as I photograph the card to leave like pretty much the correct amount of space that I need to add my layer.
Yeah.
To fit it in the photo, and if I feel like it's going pretty quick, it maybe adds 3 to 5 seconds to my listing time per listing. So I feel like that's okay-ish. Car Dealer Pro speeds a lot of things up, but then it slows a lot of things down too.
Yeah.
You know, when it doesn't find the right stuff and you got to go in and type over it, and sometimes for me just to work right in the app is so good now. Just hit the description and I barely have to type anything in. Almost everything is just drop downs.
Yeah.
And so that's gonna kind of be how I continue to do it, I think.
Of course, as you alluded to in the intro, we had lots of issues with the app and Car Dealer Pro in the past week, which can impact those at times.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I was trying to respond to people in the Discord. So if any of you are watching that were having those issues, I said that's a time management thing, right? So when something doesn't work, you always have to have a backup plan of, okay, well, if I can't do this now, I'm going to do this. So that's, I couldn't list either. Nothing was working in my app on either of my devices to do shiny card listing, and I'm out of scans for the month, so I'm not scanning right now. But I just went and I reorganized some drawers and I got some bags put away, and I sorted out some other cards because I make like little priority piles of stuff I want to list.
Okay.
So I kind of went through like another row in a box and pulled out some priority stuff. I'm trying to get as much. Basketball's been doing pretty good for me, and it doesn't all year round for me. So I've been trying to get some of that
advantage of it now.
Yeah. So I've been trying to put, some, even if I don't price it as high as I really want to, I can at least move it.
Yeah.
And most basketball I get, I don't really pay much for because I don't go after it. Unless it's, certain players or something, but
sure.
Yeah. So, when those things happen, you got to figure out something else you can do, I was going to list, I tried to list, I can't list. Okay. Well, now we got to move on to take all your photos, right, or do all your scans and have your photos ready for listing. Whatever is allowed to happen. If listing isn't working, but you could at least create drafts, you could do that.
Yep.
As an option, just have them hanging out there until you can get to listing. I don't know. So that's the biggest thing with stuff like that. Computer programs are going to break. I don't care what line of work you're in. That's just life. But yeah, so I think baseball and basketball is definitely what's kind of going right now. I've had some big football orders, like 60, 80 card orders, but it's all like Hall of Fame older players. That's kind of what's hot for me this time of year in football. So it's a big Dan Marino order. I had a big Terry Bradshaw order. I had a big order for Bears stuff, for Cowboys stuff. Trying to think of some other ones that I had, but yeah, it was a lot of that. I had a John Elway one. So it's been pretty good to get some of that going, because that stuff doesn't sell as well during the year because those are obviously not active players.
Right.
So this is it's great to clear out, 40, 50 cards of Barry Sanders and Bo Jackson and like some of those guys. And then generally there's a mix in with a couple of modern players or a couple of baseball, something like that. So
yeah.
But I've been happy with a lot of non-sport sales in my main store because I'm not replacing those. Any new non-sport goes in the other store. So I feel like I keep opening listings, so it allows me to keep putting more sports on too. Because as those go, it gives me the option to fill it with something else.
Yeah.
And I really think once I fill 2 stores, that's going to be enough. Because I can't even really get to 60,000 right now. I'm at like 59.4 something because I'm selling like hundreds of cards at a time, and I'm just not listing as that much, especially trying to list into 2 stores.
Right.
So I feel like I list some in sports, and then I don't do any sports in for a bit, and then I do a bunch of non-sport, and like by the time I'm switching back and forth, there's enough time in between and I get enough sales that I'm not adding to listing count as much.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I feel like I'm getting towards the right balance.
I saw you did another sales video.
I did. Yeah. I pushed one through yesterday. This time of year is tough for me. I've got all the tax stuff. My uncle passed away last week, so I've got a funeral coming up.
Sorry to hear that.
And yeah, and so there's I just finished my parents' taxes, and I was over there, and then I had to do stuff with our partnership. This was the first year we had to file anything for that. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, so I was downloading the IRS videos, and I was watching those, like how to file. You don't want to screw it up if you don't have to. The good news is because it was our first year and we really only had one show. It was very simple. Like there was not that much to file.
Right.
And now I know exactly how to do it. It'll take me like 20 minutes next year, but I've never done LLC partnership taxes before. That's not a common everyday. Not everybody's doing that every day. So anyway, so I had that, and then my own stuff is pretty complicated. So I've been kind of thrown off trying to do videos and stuff, and just busy. I get up in the morning and I got to check 2 stores. This weekend I had 212 orders on my sports store, and then another like 60 some orders on the non-sport store. That's not cards, that's orders. So I was like, dang, this is gonna. So I'm back to, even though I'm a lot more organized and pulling is a lot faster, I'm getting more orders. So it's still taking me. It's taking me the same amount of time. I'm just being more productive with that time.
Right.
So you have to just kind of manage that time as best you can, and YouTube kind of takes the back seat out of all those things. It just doesn't pay me as well.
It does,
and it takes a lot of time, to do the sales day video. You think, well, you're just pulling, and that was kind of my thought initially, why I kind of first of all, I got a lot of positive feedback on them, so that motivated me to keep doing them. But yeah, you think, oh, you got to pull these anyway. You just film it, but I have to do it on my camera, and then I got to transfer everything over to my phone, and then I got to go in and do the edits, and then you have to convert it to a YouTube capable file. Then you got to upload it to YouTube. It's just there's a lot more to it than you think there is. And
yeah,
I really want to do another show video. I haven't done one in a while, where just kind of digging through boxes and voiceover with why I picked what I picked. And I'd really like to do one that focuses more on non-sport, because I don't think I have a real good video of that. So it probably won't be a local show because we don't see much of that. I know I had a decent video from Madison this last time, which was that was probably my last show I did where I was really focused on non-sport and able to pick up a bunch.
Okay.
Those bench warmer cards, by the way, they're fire. I know you're not shocked, but
no, not at all.
They keep selling. So, and again, just a total random pickup. I didn't grab those. They were just part of a big box that I bought for $30. And
sure.
I think that's the best way to try stuff. Buy something in bulk that has pieces in it that you wouldn't normally buy, because you don't really have much in it, and then just try them and see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Digimon. I got a bunch of like early Digimon stuff, like, I don't know, whenever those came out. They came out shortly after Pokemon because, of course, Pokemon was popular, so then everything had some little, card game issue to it.
Their own type of issue, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was like 96 or 97 the first ones came out, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody's going to want these. There's not a lot of sales history on eBay. Not a lot of people have listed them, so I just threw them on there, and I mean, I saw 4 or 5 of them at a crack, to a buyer, and they move. When you got less than a penny into it, who cares what you sell it for? It's all money, free money essentially. So those I was kind of surprised at, but yeah, if I found another stack of Digimon stuff somewhere, especially earlier stuff, I'd probably grab them. For the right price. Yeah, they scan, they list pretty easily. Pokemon's kind of a pain in the butt, by the way, because you scan it and it'll tell you what the card is and stuff, but it doesn't even say Pokemon in the listing, so you got to add that. And I guess I could create a template just for my Pokemon scans, where it would have that in it, like we have the team name, on the sports cards and stuff. So maybe if I get into enough of it, that's something that I would create to try to help with that issue. But yeah, it just says like, and then it says like Flower in the Sun Charizard, and I'm like, I have no idea if this is from the Flower in the Sun set. It doesn't say the sets on the cards, so then I have to go look and see. This character's been issued like 35 times, so he's in like, how do I know which one it is from which set?
The icon on it.
Oh, Charlie. So yeah, so it's I get them on there and stuff, and it's okay, but kind of a pain compared to sports for a little bit.
Yeah.
From that side of it, and when you don't know much about it, right? Like if I knew all the different sets of Pokemon and all that, and I've been doing it longer, it'd be a little bit different. But I just haven't. So starting from scratch. Yeah. And I still have. I can't remember where I put those. I think they're over here. I still have a few common Pokemon to list from the brand new set. What is it? The Traveler or something or other? Was a set that just came out like last week.
Okay.
So I've got a few. I might have some uncommons or rares in here too. I don't know. I listed everything shiny right away and all that kind of thing, but so I got a little small stack of those, but they're not. You can scan, but they don't come up right now because they're too new. But I'm trying. I'm trying to get to a little bit more. I bought Pokemon packs for the first time ever in my entire life, like 2 weeks ago. And Journey Together. That's what it's called. And they were there. You have to go to a special register to buy them at this place. And the lady was just hanging them on the rack. And I'm like, I'll take whatever you'll allow me to have.
Yeah.
She's like, you can have 3 packs. I'm like, I'll take them. They're $5 a pack. So pricing is pretty fair on them. And it was fine. And almost all the rare stuff I listed, it all sold instantly.
Good.
So one thing I didn't realize is there's like more than one version of the same card. So one of the foils I had, the picture was the exact same on both cards, but one was like a lower number in the set and one was a higher number in the set. So I don't know what the difference of that makes. I'm sure I'm going to get all kinds of flame here from Pokemon people, but to me, it didn't really make any sense. And I kind of listed it as the lower number card in the set, and it was actually the higher number card in the set, which sells for more money. And, so then I had to kind of backtrack and fix that. And so a little bit of a learning curve, For those of you who've not done a lot of Pokemon, those are kind of the things that I've run into.
Yeah, it is more challenging than you think it's going to be when you get into it. I know I had a little run where I was listing Pokemon a little more regularly. I kind of backed off of it just because I realized how much I had to learn yet. And I was like, I got other stuff that I, can get out there right away without having to stop and look all this up and try and match things up. And then I run into at times, this happened with Magic too. It's like, well, is it this set, that set? Mm-hmm. Is it this version, that version? Is it the reverse hollow? Is it the, Wizards upside down hats, whatever,
Well, and you can say the same thing for sports cards, right? So like you have the holiday card, but then there's the holiday card with the elf on it, and then there's the holiday card. I picked up the Sal Frelick with the Christmas tree border, and I had never even seen one of those cards before. And it's very subtle.
Yeah.
You can see kind of all the branches around the border and stuff. It does have that, that grayish tint to it, and it does have the glitter on it like the normal parallels.
Mm-hmm.
But you can kind of miss that border. It doesn't really stand out because that border is so thin.
That is true.
And there's so much else going on the card, and But yeah, Pokemon to me was like, whoa, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here.
You're right, though. Sports cards are just as challenging. It's just we do them so often. I mean, I picked up a holiday Easter egg tin, and I glossed right over this card. Do you know what this is?
That's the gold one, right?
This is where it's got the gold back variation. Yeah. All they do is put this gold shading on the back this year, and the foil is gold up in this corner. That's the only thing. Now, I knew this was kind of a unique image because you got Santander in a suit and you got Judge and Soto in the We Own the East shirts. But what cued me in is it was flipped backwards in the pack with all the other inserts. And I was like, oh, is this something? Because when you look at the front, you're like, okay, it's a little different, but it doesn't seem all that special. But I mean, that's been selling for $80 to $100, and I had no idea what it was at first.
The only reason I knew what it was because they are also in the base set. You can get the golden back there, and that's what they said was, the back is yellow. That's how you'll know. And I mean, everybody knows Topps cards have been pure white on the back forever.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, that should kind of stand out, if you come across one, because they're not numbered or anything; they're just short printed.
Oh. But the previous year, it had SSP in gold foil on the back, So they change it up a little bit, and you got to be careful because sometimes they just blend right in. That is why we sometimes find treasures in value boxes, right?
Because you make a good point. They don't even stay consistent with it because there's other years where you have to literally look at the printing code on the bottom to find out if it's a short print, unless you just know the photos of the cards.
Yeah.
for image variations or whatever, it's like, okay, well, I have to look at the printing code to see if this code is different than the regular base set code.
Heritage is like a puzzle every time you get it,
I love it when I buy cards out of value boxes and the short prints, and then somebody puts like a sticker on it and says SP and blah, blah.
Yeah.
Makes it so easy for me, because when I get back, I just like, oh, SP, $8, whatever, it's, some of that guesswork goes away a little bit.
Yeah.
The other thing that I found challenging with Pokemon is the Japanese. I scan that stuff and I have no idea what I'm looking at. So, I don't know the sets. I obviously can't read the language. So that one's pretty complicated. However, ironically enough, my daughter is way into Japanese culture and Japanese music and all that stuff. And she's a huge Sprite drinker, like the Sprite soda, right?
Okay.
So I found a Japanese Sprite t-shirt today. So it's got I knew it was Sprite because it has the little like half lime, half lemon kind of logo on it. And then it says like Sprite, but in Japanese. And oh my God, she was like, this is the best thing ever. So it's interesting how there's so many different things and different ways people can be interested in something, just because it's not for you or you don't think it would, well, why would anybody want that? They probably do,
Right.
There's someone out there that we talk about that all the time with like, and actually I just bought a bunch today, like no name autographs. Well, who's going to want that? The player never made it, blah, blah, blah. Well, they've got a mom, and it's true. There's going to be someone out there that's probably going to want that. So the one thing I try to do with like, I call them junk autos, which is kind of not a really nice way to put it, but one of the things I have changed a bit, unless you get them real cheap, is I try to make sure they're at least a good brand, because you can find a lot of like junk auto, like Sage Hit and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So I try to at least stick to like, here's a Mosaic one and here's a Prism one, and what is this one from? Oh, this one's also from Prism, but try to stick to like the brands where it would be like one auto per box type stuff, where there's inherently going to be some value just to their rarity versus, you can get a Sage Hit box for $40 and there's 5 autos in it, or even some Contenders autos, where there's just they stretch out a little bit too much for those autos, and even the junk autos don't have a lot of value. But yeah, if I can find, decent brand stuff and the autos are 50 cents a piece, something like that, yeah, I buy them. I had a guy just buy a huge lot of no-name baseball autos from me this past week. But I don't know, 12 or 13 of them that I had in the store. Not a single player I ever heard the name of before.
Yeah.
But he found 13 in my inventory that he wanted to buy in one order. So you can sell them, because I think that's the other argument is, okay, great, they'll buy that one card for me, but I'm never going to have another card of that guy. How am I going to get a multi-card order? But there's just a lot of autograph collectors, and you might, if you start building up some inventory of some junk autos, you'll probably get a few buyers that will come in and want more than one card. The other thing I had happen this week was yesterday I had a 96, I want to say, Bowman's Best refractor of Jeff Blake. Do you remember Jeff Blake?
Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals
quarterback for the Bengals. It was part of my auctions. I just randomly grab a stack of cards when I have auctions available, and I'll list them on auction just to keep moving some inventory and getting some fresh eyes on stuff. It got bid up to like $6.85, plus $1 shipping. So $7.85 if it was in my store, because I don't have shipping in my store. So I don't think I would have listed it that high. It's not numbered. It's not a great player. So that's, I like that too. That's always good to, and whenever I list my auctions, I always put a buy it now price on it, because why not? And that worked well for me this week too, because my auctions were starting to end. That's when you start getting bids and things. I had 2 cards that somebody just bought. They didn't even bother doing the bid. They just paid the $3.99 or whatever I had it listed at the buy it now for. No name refractor Bowman rookie baseball players, prospects, from years ago, like mid 2000s, mid 2000 teens, a couple of them. So I always put a buy it now on there because there's a lot of people who just don't want to mess with the auction part. They'll see it because it's listed on auction and it's ending, and they just don't want to have to deal with it or wait on it, and they just pay the $3 or $2, whatever it is, and pick it up. So auctions have been good. I'm going to try to continue to do that, and I don't really mess with them too much. If I list them and they don't sell in auction, I just relist them the next month. So you don't have to recreate anything. And then, if I list 500 auctions and 100 of them sell, I relist 400 of them and I grab a stack of 100 and I put those back in.
Sure.
And people will say, well, why would you relist it? If nobody bid on it, they're not going to bid on it. That Jeff Blake has run for 2 months, didn't get a single bid at 99 cents. And then yesterday it sold for $6.85. Right. You just need 2 people who want it, and then there it goes. So, but would that be a hot item in my store? No. So, and I try to list a few good player names in there, some numbered stuff, you want to put a little bit of fire in your auctions, to generate some interest, but, I really like doing that to try to keep some stuff moving. Sold a few soccer cards that way today or this week. So if it's cards you don't know, like we were just talking about the Pokemon, that might be a great way to list it, because if you list the wrong set or whatever, it doesn't matter. The bidders will know what you have, and it should go for a pretty fair price, in the end that way. So it's kind of a good way to sell cards that you don't know,
it's good,
how they'll do. Yeah.
That's actually why I auction a lot of the wild cards I get, because the values are so finicky because of it's a second tier, depending on your attitude about it, second tier or third tier manufacturer, right? So I am a wild card fan, and I tend to initially always overvalue the wild cards because I love them. I mean, again, wild card right here, and I think that is the coolest shit ever, right?
Yeah, that's a great card. I need that messy one though.
Yeah, I figured you'd like that one. But overall, in the market, most collectors look at wild cards and say, I don't know, is it going to have the same long-term value? And then it depresses the market on them a little bit.
Yeah, and everything's debatable. The market can change over time. I saw a ton of early wild card cards. I sold a bunch of like Emmitt Smith base 1991 wild card cards this week. I saw a ton of those
this week.
Yeah, I saw a ton of the Stat Smashers, that I bought in big volume. The Stripe cards still sell really well, for a lot of players. So, well, they're not going to hold out. Well, granted, those were licensed too, to be fair, back then, but that's what everybody said then. Oh, they're just overprinted and no one's going to want them, and that's not true at all. I saw a lot of them. So
yeah,
But you're right. Wild card's kind of tricky because it's like, oh, this card's 1 out of 2. Well, you can't really look at like a 1 out of 2 prism card of that player because they're not going to be in the same field.
Right.
So, okay, well, if that one, and then there isn't like a clear ratio. It's not like, okay, well, that one's $200, so mine's $100 then, because it's always half. Well, no. Maybe it depends on the player. Maybe it depends on, the set it's from, whatever it is. Yeah. I found those haunted hits, the Halloween ones. I felt like they sold much better than a lot of wild card cards I had sold before. They just had people liked them. It was a Halloween. They had these cool Frankenstein in the background type stuff, and I think there was just an extra appeal. And maybe it caught some cross collectors too that are like, well, I don't, buy a lot of Packer cards, but I like the Packers, but I'm way into Frankenstein. So like,
Right.
dude, an Aaron Rodgers card with Frankenstein on it, like that would be cool. I would put that on my shelf. I don't know.
That's what I did. I picked up that Jordan Love Haunted Hits one just for the PC here.
Sure. Well, even the Patrick Mahomes one you just showed, it has a goat on it. So it just sometimes their stuff is cool. The ones with the dinosaurs on them, sometimes their stuff just adds a cool element that nobody else will do. And you can end up doing a little better in the sale price on it. But yeah,
I imagine the buyer market is on different ends of the generational spans. If you're going to buy a card with a dinosaur, I don't think it's a long-time vintage collector that's looking for that card with a dinosaur on it, right? I think it's probably a younger generation that's, used to the, IG and TikTok and the, the smack you in the face startling image that says, that's cool. And then there's me.
It could be, but it could be the other end of the spectrum too. When we were kids, we all had a favorite dinosaur. Dinosaurs were huge for us. Kids now, I don't know if they care about dinosaurs as much. They don't even have, I guess they still keep making Jurassic Park movies, but who gets excited for those? My kid doesn't.
I'm hoping somebody gets excited for the Jurassic Park NASCAR cards I listed last week.
Right. Nice. And I saw a lot of Jurassic Park cards, and on the non-sports side of things, but I shouldn't say a lot, but they sell. They do sell. Yeah. So anyway, get back on the topic a little bit. We got to start getting into some chat, but yeah, eBay issues. I think they're just they're kind of screwing around with some stuff. I think they're really building out eBay Live because if you haven't been in your app in a while, go in your app because it used to be that top left tab was your selling tab before. Now it's eBay Live. So you click on that and it takes you into eBay Live and you can start seeing like the different channels that are doing live and their scheduled shows and things like that.
That is not anything I noticed in mine.
So if you go to, hold on here.
So I'm on my selling tab.
So if you go to,
that looks the same.
So if you go to like the home tab, like you first log into your app.
Yep.
This top left button here says eBay Live.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That wasn't there before.
I never really spend any time on that page, so
I do because what I would do, because that's where I would first go when I would log in, is my eBay, and then I would click that selling button, which is up here, and that was always the first button.
Oh.
So for a couple of times I got busted because I would just, so the first time I got, a couple times I got busted because I was just hit that top left button and I'd hit it and I'd go like, oh crap, I'm in eBay Live. Don't want to do that.
Where they won't let you sell.
Yeah. So I feel like they're just kind of doing some things right now, and it's kind of things are breaking, and but like for me, it fixed a ton of stuff for my store as far as like on the app and that.
Yeah, you had issues for a long time because of the volume.
Couple of years. Yeah, as soon as I hit like over, I don't know, 15 or 20,000 in my store, everything broke in the app. I couldn't look at active listings. I couldn't look at, I could look at like my current sold orders, like orders that needed to ship, but I couldn't look at past orders. I couldn't search a user. I couldn't search an item that, I had listed for that had sold before. That all just came up like timed out. Basically, the little bar would run and then it would just like can't find anything, which I know, like if I look up Patrick Mahomes for my order history and it says there's none found, I know that's wrong. So yeah, I basically just gave up on that for a long time, and it was a pain in the butt because I do a lot from my phone, especially when I'm not in my office. And, when I would go to send offers, I couldn't do it in the app. I'd have to go into my browser. I'd have to open eBay. I'd have to go to try to click on all those little tiny ass links in the eBay browser. And then, go to, items I could send offers on and then send them that way. Now I can do it just like the rest of you normal people do and just hit the send offers button. And yeah, it saves a lot of time. It's a lot less hassle to try to click on. So anyway, so that's that for the eBay stuff. Should we get into some chat and then we'll talk kind of some of our other potential topics. I have this weird, like, share your referral links sitting over the top of all my chat stuff. It's really weird. Holy cow, weird.
Yeah, I have a thing at the bottom where I can add it. I think I saw you put one out there in the chat a little bit earlier.
I did. I clicked on it hoping that it would make it go away because it's kind of overwriting over my chats.
Okay.
So I figured if I did that, show on stage. I don't want to show them on stage. All right. Okay. Now maybe we're good. I don't know. Now, no. All it does is put it on there, and then when I take it off, it goes right back to the link. Super annoying. So how do I get to just that one? I might have to have you bring the chats up today.
Yeah,
can you click on them and bring them up?
Yeah. I just had one up there before.
Let's just do that because for me it's throwing this other link on there for some reason. I'll have to look into that. All right, evening all. Almost forgot what day it was. Yeah, I didn't put a reminder or anything out there. I kind of figure like I don't really need to do that every week at this point. We've been doing this forever on Wednesdays, 8 Central Standard Time, without fail except for 1 week. Yeah. So just try to get it put it in your calendar, hit reoccurring weekly, and you'll never forget it. So I get messages sometimes on Wednesdays from viewers that are like, hey, it's Wednesday, I'll be on there tonight, so it's kind of fun because sometimes it notifies me too where I'm like, oh crap, yeah, that's right, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because I think it's easy for all of us to forget where we are. Yeah, see, if I turn it off, I can't go back in it. It's really weird. All right, if you want to bowl up the next one. My Twins are being the Twins way too early this season.
Yeah, I see that. They're not in the basement. They're a game out of the basement, so that's good.
Yeah. Like I said, it's so early. It's like what, less than 2% of the season has been played or something. I saw that this morning where somebody actually tracks the season by percent as opposed to like number of games. I'm like, that's the right way to do it. And yeah, it was like 1.85% has been complete. And I'm like, well, geez.
That's one of the things that makes it great, though, is that we can have this conversation for so long. And every week we can flip-flop, and it's going to be the Cubs or the Brewers, right?
Maybe. We'll see. Maybe, somebody might pull away. Well, that's happened in the past, too. So, yeah, we'll see. But it's early yet. I wouldn't totally give up on your Twins yet. What's this? Adam buying Brewers cards because they are the dominant team in the division? No, that is incorrect.
He's learning.
That is incorrect. No, I also said I bought Cam Smith cards. That's Cubs. I bought some Shota Imanaga. I always get his name wrong.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Bought some rookies of his. He's been going to be a stud pitcher for sure this year. So, and the Japanese players are just ultra popular right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think any team in our division is going to be dominant. I think it's going to be competitive.
I would agree with that.
Even the Cardinals aren't terrible on paper, and they're always pesky. I feel like even the years where the Cardinals weren't very good and the Cubs were really good, the Cubs still struggled against the Cardinals.
Even the Pirates had a good run last year. They were in first place for a while last year.
Yeah. So I feel like there's definitely going to be competition in the division. I don't think anyone's really going to run away with it.
Or as I like to call them, the Pirates.
The Pirates. I do believe the Cubs and the Brewers are the two best teams in the division. So I do feel like that's the most likely battle at the top. But You're right. Pirates have some talent too, and decent pitching staff, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens. New to streaming or looking to level up? Check out StreamYard and get a $10 discount. See, that's the link it wants me to keep posting. So that's why I clicked on it, because I'm like, well, maybe that'll just get rid of it. It's some referral.
I was waiting for you to read heart eye emoji.
Heart eye emoji? Oh, at the end? Yeah, no. No. So yeah, yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't know what's up with that chat now. Maybe because I used the free version. They want me to keep pumping it out to send the links. I don't know. What up, boys? What
boys? True.
Cooter's crazy hair is back. Yeah, baby. I let her down today. It's never really went away. It just gets tied back.
Did you ever put it in the man bun?
Yes.
Do you?
If I have to do something serious, yes, I will do that.
Ooh, something serious. You sound like a Joker now.
Yeah. I was lucky to grab a few NFL Optic Blaster online today. I heard they were being posted today. I don't know if they're going to be good or not. I'll tell you, I actually bought wax today, Charlie. We didn't even talk about this yet. Yeah. Meyer does their buy one, get one 40 sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, they had that, and they had Illusions, which is one of my favorite sets, and they had Megas. Okay. So I got 2 Illusions Megas. Basically, it was $40 a Mega after the discounts. I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. So here's kind of what's left that I haven't listed, but I got 2 Drake May rookies. I got a Jaden Daniels base rookie and a Jaden Daniels like star rookie and insert rookie kind of thing.
Right.
A couple of Malik Neighbors. My jersey cards. I got a Packers jersey card. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. I always liked Illusions inserts and stuff, and their base cards sell really well for me.
Sure.
There's definitely fans of them, but I really like these acetate, what are they called? Clutch.
Okay.
This is Malik Neighbors. I think they're cool, but you can kind of just see the clutch on them, and then they're see-through. Some Brock Bowers. I got a few different Brock Bowers. I got a clutch of him, too. Yeah. Then you get an orange in each pack, so at least you have a parallel, in every pack that you open, and they look nice this year. It's consistent with the designs from previous years and stuff. So I feel like that's a fairly strong buy. I only buy a few boxes a year of stuff. That'll probably change once Topps takes over because I like a lot more Topps products.
Yeah.
And that's actually been a lot of what I've bought the last 2 years. I bought a bunch of composite. I really like that set. And then I did buy Topps Chrome Football. But yeah, it looked like they had just opened a case because there was all these mega boxes on the shelf, which you never see at our Meyer. So I'm especially when it's buy one, get one 40%. I was like, these ain't gonna be. They're not gonna be here tomorrow. So I just snaked 2 of them, and I'm like,
yeah, I was in there.
Should be a good enough deal.
I think it was Saturday. I stopped in there on my way back from Madison Coaches Clinic the last few days of last week, and I saw they had all those Illusion mega boxes out there lined up nice and pretty, but it was not buy one get one 40% off at that time. And I passed on them, and I got some different stuff I picked up there. I also saw some more Topps Attacks tins that were like $6, but I passed on them this time just because looking at them, I wasn't sure who the players I would be on the lookout for in those years because they were older ones. So I was like, even at $6, if there's not a Holland or Messi or something like that in there.
For those, I always look at what's the limited edition card because they always have a picture of it on the front.
Yeah.
And actually, I saw those there previously, and I bought all the Messi ones.
Did you?
Yeah. So there is one Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, there was one of those
There is one of those left. I think I bought one of those and I left the other one. But those, if you get for sure a limited edition Messi card in a tin for $6, yeah, you buy that.
Yeah.
But some of the other players, these were the 2 jersey cards I got. I got Will Shipley.
Okay.
For the Eagles. I mean, their cards
That's great.
Their cards have awesome designs and stuff. Yeah, great expectations. It's called. And then I got Marshawn Lloyd for the Packers. So those are my 2 jersey cards. But it's kind of fun. You at least get a jersey card because I feel like so many boxes don't have anything in them anymore.
Right.
They're not great, but here's one of my Jaden Daniels. I like this insert set. It's called Game Magicians.
Okay.
It's got that kind of swirly magic design in the background, and it does have the rookie logo on it. And, but yeah, so I picked those up today. I feel like the rookie class from last year was good enough that it's kind of worth picking. I got a Bo Nix, I got 2 Drake Mays, I got 2 Jaden Daniels, I got 2 Brock Bowers, a couple of Malik Neighbors. I did get a Marvin Harrison Jr. He has a little bit of hobby still. Yeah, so I don't know. I was pretty happy with that purchase. Okay, we can move. Yeah, we can move on. Greetings from Jersey. Bazooka Welcome Joe. To the show, Bazooka Joe. Evening, fellows. The beauty of not doing this for a living is that if something doesn't work, just go fishing. Yeah, I mean that's an option. Even if you do this for a living, if you can't do anything, you could still just go fishing. But yeah, I don't fret over that because So even if you don't do this for a living, you probably do something for a living where you're in front of a computer and stuff breaks sometimes. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, I don't think there's a job that doesn't have that happen.
Agreed.
So it's just the way it lands, in the particular job you're doing at the time, which sucks. But again, sometimes you can't change that. And I kind of made a comment too, where in a way that could be an advantage, because if people can't list anything, and I got 60,000 listings out there, there's no new competition coming in. If somebody wants those cards, I've got them on there. So sometimes something being broken, if you're in the right position, can actually help you.
Right.
What's up, fellas? Baseball card curmudgeon. He's one of our new Discord joiners. I think he joined up yesterday. I know you've been on the lives quite a few times, so I was happy to see you join the Discord and participate with us there. So welcome. Yo, catching this live today. Awesome. Glad to have you here. Again, live every Wednesday, 8 Central Standard Time. Your name is not on your little picture bubble. Did you take it off?
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't know why it just disappeared. It was
strange.
There before. Yeah.
Having strange. Well, why not? It's right in line with eBay and, CDP issues. Now we're having StreamYard issues.
I think when we put up one of these, maybe it takes it down. There you go.
Oh, it does. Interesting.
Is that new? Did it always do that?
I don't think so. Maybe it must have to, because otherwise how would you be able to see it? Like, it would cover mine up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, glad to have you here with us live. What's up, fellas? Keith is here. Hey, how's it going, Keith? Haven't been able to catch any of your recent videos. I'm going to try to do that tomorrow if I have some time.
I see you keep it going, though.
Yeah, keep bringing it. Pokemon, I have a template and have one for reverse hollows and hollow rare and etc. Yeah, I think that might be something that I'm going to have to do at some point if I want to continue to expand the Pokemon area, which at this point, I would like to. So, yeah, it's a solid
you can't
idea.
have a non-sports store without Pokemon.
Yes, you can. But there's no way that even if I tried not to, there's no way you're not going to stumble across some Pokemon once in a while.
Right.
The list. You know, I get it in non-sport boxes and stuff like that. So, yeah. I mean, even the Happy, I went and got the Happy Meals and I listed those. There's still Pokemon cards to list. So,
right.
Next, gotta be careful veering out of your lane. Yeah, exactly. I don't plan to be like the Pokemon king of the Midwest or anything by any measure, but I at least want to dabble and have some in there. It's just it's too active to not do any of it. It's kind of the same with Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't want a ton of Yu-Gi-Oh. It's like Digimon. I don't want a ton of Digimon, but I got to put some in there. Playing cards. If you can get this stuff for the right price, these can do okay. Like here's from Star Wars Duels back in 2014. These came out with Hasbro. These are great cards. Nice pictures. Nice big numbers on them. This stuff is cool. Like, you can list the stuff, you can sell it, but you gotta have the right. Here's our favorite Kowakian monkey.
There you go.
Him in there, Mr. Crumb. Mr. Crumb. But they kept what I like about these cards, because there's obviously been lots of different Star Wars like playing card sets, but I like how they look like trading cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the numbers are very subtle. You got a really nice photo of the character, with some action. You got kind of this like little silhouette picture here, and I just think they're great. Black borders are nice.
That is the way.
So, yes, that's a different show, but than Boba Fett. But yes, that's Mr. Mandalorian. Okay.
All right.
Where are we at? I got some great news today. Me and the fam should be moving into our new house by June. Huge card room upgrade. That's awesome. Congrats.
Congrats. Huh?
Good for you. Now have fun moving. That's always the best part.
You say that a little tongue in cheek, I'm guessing.
Well, I've definitely gotten to the point in my life where I hire somebody to move. I'm not hauling all that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Especially with 4 bedrooms worth of furniture and stuff. No. I don't plan to move anytime soon, but if I did, there's no way in heck I would do it myself.
You're past the years of calling college buddies to come help you move?
Yeah, pretty much. Most of them don't live around here. They've got their own things going on. So yeah.
Sure. Dan says, "Congrats, Keith."
For sure. Sounds like a good move. Nice from Joe. Great. Had an order I made almost 2 months ago show up today. Was refunded a few weeks back. Bubble mailer, real dirty, but everything inside was fine. Any good letting the seller know? That's up to you. I mean, morally, yes, you should pay for it. If you got refunded and you got the product, morally speaking, you should either return the product to them or repay them. Now, if they did it through a claim, if they were able to get reimbursed through a claim, I don't know. That's a whole other side of that penny. But do you have to contact them or have to do anything with it? No, it would be totally up to you if you want to do something about it.
Speaking of that, how would you pay the dealer? So
you'd
you've
have to
already been refunded.
You'd have to send them payment outside of eBay. You'd have to send them Venmo or PayPal or something like that.
So that sounds like a pain.
I've done it before.
Yeah.
So, not real often, but I did have a customer where it was like, I don't know, $15 or $20 worth of cards. So it wasn't a super small amount, but it wasn't a huge amount either.
Right.
And same thing, it took 6 months or whatever. They'd been refunded, and they messaged me and they said this was before like PIP claims, like before you could even do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, man, I finally got the cards." He's like, "I'll pay you. You know, I know you refunded me. I'll pay you for the cards."
Yeah.
I just gave him my PayPal address, and he PayPal'd me. And that was.
I had an
was
interesting
that.
one the other day. So it was in what's her name? Alicia Lehman card from
Yeah.
Leaf. And
Yeah.
I sold the card back in December. And I remember talking with this buyer, I feel like a couple months ago. You know, he was saying it didn't show up, and I thought we got it all resolved. And then all of a sudden this week, I got an INR on the card, but most of the details were all gone on the order. So I actually called eBay, and they said, well, because it's so old, it's up to you and the buyer now. We're not going to get involved in it anymore. So that was kind of interesting. And then I'm also curious to see if I get a PIP claim approved, because actually one of our viewers made a purchase of some cards from me a few weeks ago, and it shows delivered, but they said they have not received it. But I did make the decision to go ahead and refund them after some discussions, and I'm still going to submit a PIP claim, and I'm going to see if it goes through.
If you have if you have the two elements they require, so that they meet what they're needed to have, to pay that claim. So meaning you have proof you refunded it to them, like proof of that the transaction occurred.
Yep.
The sale occurred and then the refund occurred, and you have some sort of either conversation with them you can share.
Yep.
Where they said I didn't get it or it was delivered to the wrong house, whatever.
Yep.
Or where they filed the missing item against you, if you have that screen cap. As long as you have those two things, they're going to pay the claim.
That's what I kind of figured.
It's up to a certain dollar amount, though. I think it's up to like $20 or something like that. Probably the USC amount.
Well, within
limit.
that.
So, yeah, the real tragedy there is the Alicia Lehman card being lost.
I know, right?
So, that's unfortunate. Those are pretty rare. You don't see them very often, and
yeah. The buyer was kind of interesting too. All I got was a message that said, "I waited a real long time for this card," and then I saw the INR. So, all right, where were we?
Technically, if it shows delivered, you don't have to do anything for the buyer. You did your part.
Right.
So. Because I'll get a message once in a while from somebody that'll say, well, it was delivered and I didn't get it. And I'll just tell them, you need to contact your post office. Like clearly they did something with it they shouldn't have. Or if it got stolen out of your mailbox or off your porch, I'm not responsible for that. So
yeah. Normally what I do is obviously I will have a conversation with the buyer, but unless there's something about that conversation or there's a pre-existing, knowledge of something outside of eBay, like in this case, it's one of our viewers that I talked to in the Discord. I simply just ask eBay to step in. And of course, what that result always is.
Right. For sure. Yeah, you almost have to be careful involving eBay because they're going to try to side with the buyer.
No,
most
if it
of the
shows
time.
delivered, they go with the seller.
Delivery, right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, outside of that, sometimes it doesn't play to your favor if you're the seller.
Yeah.
That's where the PIP system is amazing. It's more valuable than you'll ever realize. And, if you're on small volume, you probably don't see it much. But if you get to bigger volumes, it's so nice to just be like, when the customer's like, hey, I haven't gotten this. I checked tracking. It didn't go anywhere. And I'll say, yep, no problem. I'll refund you. And then I have, the form pretty much ready to go on my computer at all times. And I just have to simply fill in the buyer's info and attach the two screens.
Right.
And then it says, thank you for submitting your claim in my email. And then a day later it says, claim has been paid, done.
Yep.
And then you just take that money from PayPal and put it somewhere else. So, or at least that's what I do with it. And, pretty clean.
I leave it in my PayPal until the National, and then I spend it there.
Oh, well, that works too. Yeah, a little extra savings account, sure.
Yeah. All right, Keith Alsis, thanks, guys. They're excited to move into their new place.
That's great.
Congratulations.
I'll be at the Twins Braves game next Friday. Ooh, 2 bottom feeder teams. The Braves haven't looked that great either, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, it's so early. We're basically like week 1 of the NFL season has completed. You can't tell from that one game, where things are at. So
absolutely.
Yo. I like it. Short and to the point. You're fortunate I did not get a jersey out of my Illusions Mega, but did get 2 orange parallels of JJ. Oh, yeah, I got a JJ McCarthy rookie, too.
There you go.
A parallel JJ rookie is probably going to be better than 99% of any of the jersey cards you pull out of it. So I wouldn't be, too disappointed in that. But I got a jersey. Right. I got a jersey card out of both of mine. I don't know if it's guaranteed. I don't really read the boxes. I just kind of buy what I like, and whatever's in it is in it. I'm going to flip them anyway. So, but yeah, I didn't read the box to see if it said like 1 memorabilia card per box or something. I don't know.
Right.
But I feel like that's how Illusions always was. I'd opened a couple megas in the past in different years, and I feel like I always got a jersey card. I ran out of scans for this month, 2,500, and I also got my first negative feedback. That didn't take long. Anyway, I posted the guy's name and all the info on the Discord. Yeah, we appreciate that. I think that's one of the valuable channels on the Discord, is to kind of share experiences with buyers and, kind of give the rest of us an opportunity to decide if we want to block that buyer even before we have a bad connection with them. It's unfortunate that it happened to you, but we appreciate you sharing it with others so that they can make a decision as, if they want to do something to prevent that for themselves. But don't wrap your head too far around feedback. It's not as important as you think it is. If you're a brand new seller and that one feedback, really knocks down your score, it's a little bit different. But as you start getting volume, you're going to have so many positives that the negative just doesn't really play much of a factor.
Yeah, I actually, speaking of feedback, I hit a milestone this week. Joined the 2K club, so 2,000 feedback out there. So
2,000 negatives?
No.
Okay, well, that's good.
But just keeps on climbing every day. So you kind of lose sight of it after a while. In fact, I didn't even notice when I hit 2K. It was actually a little bit over before I noticed it. And I was like, oh, well, that I got to celebrate that a little bit.
Yeah, because, I don't really look at my feedback much either, like the number count or anything. But, yeah, if it hits a certain amount, I'll probably, it's kind of like when your car rolls over a certain number, you don't necessarily watch it. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm going to hit 100,000,
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of how the feedback count goes because I'll get 30 or 40 feedback a day.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't, the volume is so big that it doesn't really make any sense to look at it.
Right.
Unless there's a problem, but
every once in a while there's kind of a unique feedback that I like to take a look at, though. Like, you kind of catches my eye when there's something longer. And I was like, oh, what the heck did they write? And some people write some really heartfelt things.
Yeah, I find it interesting sometimes. Sometimes I look at it like it's a $2 card. Who cares? But that $2 card sometimes is very important to someone.
Means something to somebody else, yeah.
Yeah, I've had somebody write a little story like, "Oh, my aunt really likes this player, and we never find any card," or
Yeah.
this was my Uncle Bob, and
My
he was
dad and I
great to
used to
me.
watch
And
this guy play when I was younger, you know?
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of fun. You're right. It's fun to take some time out once in a while and read a couple of them
Right.
just to
And I
show that
was,
these are real people. These people buying these items are actual people.
yeah. And I occasionally go out and reply to some of them too. I think that can go a long ways towards getting return buyers too when they see you take the time to reply to their feedback and they're like, hey, this is a real person that I'm buying this
Yeah,
card from, and they care about me as a buyer.
I mean, it certainly can't hurt, right? If you're
Yeah.
giving them constructive, feedbacks, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Boomslang says he picked up some Uno Star Wars playing cards, but no sales yet.
Yeah, I do stay away from the Uno sets other than the NFL because I never had any luck with them either. You have to be kind of. That's why I was kind of trying to point out like why I bought these. First of all, these were $1.99 at a thrift store, and their color tag was half price. So I
Okay.
paid a dollar for the whole thing. So I think but what I liked about them was they were from 2014, right? So a little bit older set, and like I said, just such great photography and great focus on characters and
Look at that
um,
Gamorrean
yeah, and I really try to focus more on like the prequels and the original trilogy. Here's Padme, can't go wrong. Natalie Portman on anything is going to do just fine.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, they just I don't know, and I don't think you made a bad move doing it, but yeah, they might sit for a little bit. But look at this General Grievous. Yeah, this this is the badass Yoda when he was younger and
Yeah.
could fight.
When he was young and
And
spry.
you got this great Luke X-wing pilot. Like I don't know, they look like cards that could have came out in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
As a trading card. So and how often are you going to see trading cards or not trading cards, playing cards from 2014?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and I look up playing cards all the time. Like if you go, Barnes and Noble's a great place, by the way. That's kind of a little honey hole for some stuff once in a while. And they had like Rick and Morty playing cards. They had a Back to the Future one, which was like, oh, those might be cool. So I'll just kind of, you know, look some stuff up on eBay and see how they do. And, if there's any, sometimes you can just buy the playing card set and sell the whole playing card set.
Yeah.
It might be, $5 at Barnes and Noble and they're going for like 15 to 20 on eBay. You just buy it and sell it. Don't even bother with the single cards. But yeah, there's a lot of them where sales aren't very good, or there, excuse me, or there isn't even a sale of a single card out of that deck. If you're trying to be the first one.
Right.
But sometimes people skip over them because they're like, well, these aren't going to sell, so I'm not going to list them. Well, maybe that's where you find your niche. You start doing playing cards. I got a political deck a while ago, and it has Arnold Schwarzenegger on it because he was governor of California at the time.
The governor.
Yeah, it has Bill and Hillary Clinton. It has like some of the political activists at the time, and they're all like cartoon, drawings of these people, which was huge in the 90s. They were, they did caricature drawings of everything. They were on T-shirts. They were on, I had this great Ricky Henderson caricature drawing of him. That famous pose where he's kind of legs spread, kind of standing there like this, just waiting to see if he could go. And that was the drawing on the shirt, and I had a Favre shirt like that too. So the content and what's on the card, and Bill Clinton doesn't have a lot of cards, so you get cards with him on there. Newt Gingrich was on there. That was a popular. Rush Limbaugh was in that deck. Agree with them or not agree with these people, there is a market for it. So
What would be a great card, a Bill Clinton card with a relic of Monica Lewinsky's dress.
Ooh. Nope, don't want that.
All right, Rip and Flip says he's new here. What scanners do you guys use?
Well, Charlie and I share a scanner, so we happen to use the same one. But yeah, it's the Ricoh FI 8170, which is, it's not Ricoh anymore, right? It's
Ricoh now. It used to be Fujitsu, right?
Used to be Fujitsu. Yeah. The Ricoh FI 8170. It's one of the more top of the line Ricoh scanners. One of the reasons we went with it is we knew we were going to be using heavy volume on it, so we wanted one that was going to stand up. It's also the one that's suggested by Card Dealer Pro, and that's the software that we use to list. So that made some sense for us there. And it allows you a lot of different ways to scan. You can scan raw, you can scan sleeved, you can scan top loaded. There's some 3D parts that are printed as add-ons to it to help you for card scanning. So there's catch bins, there's the little standoffs to try to raise it up a little bit so the cards can kind of shoot out easier. Charlie's got the big, 1,000 card loader that you can attach to the top. So that's why we went with that one.
The Autoloader 1000.
The Autoloader 1000. That thing looks, every time you show it, it looks so ridiculous.
It's menacing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's way too much. It's way too much. If that is a scanner you're interested in looking at, if you go to any of my normal videos, my not live videos, I do have a link in there to Amazon where you can order a scanner. So if you want to look at the exact one that we use, I have a link in there for you to review that. But there's tons of scanners out there, join the Discord because we talk about scanners quite a bit in there. And there's lots of users that have different scanners and have had success and have had troubles. So you can kind of do that research before you buy. I think the Ricoh now is like $750. I haven't clicked on my link in a while to see what the current price is, but I think last time I clicked, which was just a couple months ago, that's the price that it was at for a new one. Yeah. So they're not super cheap. They're not like outrageously expensive either. Like, for cost of business equipment, it's fairly reasonable. If you're going to do enough volume.
Yeah.
I think.
Quick update, because I know you're all interested. Brewers up 10-2 over the Colorado Rockies, setting their sights on those Cubs in first place.
Okay.
Okay, he says. I'm going to enjoy my first place while I can.
Well, they're not going to be in the first place. They're going to be half game behind.
Yeah, at the end of tonight, but at the end of this week, we'll see.
Okay. I usually tell them to enjoy the cards and shop with me in the future. Yeah, you can reply. I kind of don't. I don't really reply to any feedback, to be honest with you. I leave feedback first. I have it auto set so that once I get paid, they get their positive feedback, and I figure like that's enough. It tells them. Yeah. I have a pre-written feedback that says, hey, thanks for buying, paid on time, blah blah blah, kind of thing, and I feel like that's enough. But again, no harm if you want to do it. I think it's great. It's kind of like sending thank you cards. If you're in the regular business world, and you sell something to somebody, you send them a thank you card. I was never a big proponent of that. I didn't do a lot of them, and I had great sales everywhere I was because I kind of gave my feedback in a different way, Yeah. Charlie can attest to this. I worked with him for many years in a sales type position with him. I don't think I ever sent you a card, maybe a Christmas card at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there was probably a Christmas card in there.
but I just never, that was just not something that I did. Now, I worked with plenty of people who sent them out, and I think it's a great idea. I don't have anything against it. It's just, yeah, you kind of have to decide, what works for you. I think I always try to think of things like, well, how would I feel about this, right? So if I go to some random person that I don't know and I buy something from them and then they mail me a thank you card, I'm kind of like, okay, that's great, and I toss it. I don't really think much of it. Do you know what I mean? And then others might be like, well, this was a really nice touch. They followed up with me and sent me a thank you card. I don't know. So, yeah.
I don't know. I was just looking at my feedback wall and looking for the last one I responded to. So I sold a Danica Patrick card to someone, and they got it, and they said, thanks, I had her sign it. And I thought that was cool. So I just replied, congrats, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's definitely some special ones that I think if you're going to try to do this at volume and you try to reply to everybody, I think you're going to go insane.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it.
And does every $2 card sale require, some sort of additional comment? I would say probably not so much, but yeah, if you want to pick out some here or there and make a reply, I think that's great.
Yeah. Customer engagement, right? That's how I look at it. A little bit of customer engagement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sports Cards is with us today. He says, good day, guys. I have a question for you, Sparkle. What do Australians think of us ugly Americans when everything we know about Australia comes from Crocodile Dundee?
I know two things about Australia. One is Crocodile Dundee was one of the best movies ever. And two, everything in Australia can kill you.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. I'd love to visit Australia sometime. I know F1. I enjoy watching the race down there in Australia too, and I'd love to go down maybe for that race or something sometime if I'm going to make a once in a lifetime trip. But
we have a couple of friends close friends that have lived. They're born and raised in Australia. They've always been there, and I really only hear good things. In fact, have you ever seen the show Bluey? Or do you know what Bluey is?
I'm familiar with it, yeah.
So that's an Australian show, if you didn't know. And the dad dog on the show, the show's great. Like, adults can watch it. It's good. Like, it's funny for adults even. It's quality that way. But anyway, the dad actor was going to be at a convention he was at, so he got his autograph for me.
Nice.
And sent it to me from Australia. Yeah, I was like, this is so cool. Because I would never get to meet that. He's never going to do I shouldn't say never, but it's gotten so big in America too. At the time, like, we were watching it, but most Americans weren't, so it was like something we just shared with our Australian friends. And he's like, hey, the guy who voices the dad is going to be here. And he got something signed for me. So, but yeah, Australia's it's a cool place. Their weather is complete opposite of ours, the exact opposite of the planet. So their winters are hot and their Julys are cold, and so yeah, it's kind of interesting they're a day ahead of us. So when he calls, I'm like, well, he's like, well, it's tomorrow, and I'm like, no, it's not, it's today.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can always have that kind of fun banter, but yeah, I appreciate Australians. I've never met an Australian I don't like, so
yeah.
I've met plenty of Americans I don't like. Yeah. You know how long you can wait to create a PIP claim? I have some real old claims I need to do that I have never done yet. Yeah, we were actually this has been a topic on kind of active on the Discord recently too. I replied to a few times, but it's got to be 15 days. But I believe it's 15 days past the suggested delivery date.
Yeah.
I think is how they calculate it. So it's more like 20 days, normally.
Well, that's the soonest you can submit it. I think Dan's really wondering how long can you wait before they'll say, no, this is too old.
Oh, I have no idea. Because I file, as soon as the customer contacts me, I try to file it.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering with this card from December too. Like, am I going to run into an issue with that?
No, because the customer can only file a claim up to 60 days.
Okay.
So if you're just gonna, well, that's true. Why would you file a PIP claim if you weren't going to refund them? So you're looking at something old where you're going to refund them now and then file a claim. Like I guess I don't understand why you're trying to do it now. I don't know.
Or maybe you refunded them, more timely, but you just dragged your feet on submitting a PIP claim. Yeah.
I think your best bet would be to just go fill it out, because once you hit that submit, it'll tell you whether or not it took it. So
that I could say it did say accepted on mine, but I didn't see it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's good.
You'll also get an email too that says, thank you for filing with PIP, blah, 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 or thank you for insuring with personal insurance or whatever the heck the thing stands for. But yeah, if you go through the whole form and you hit that submit button, it'll also tell you, if it doesn't go through, it'll also tell you like, too early to file a claim or too old for a claim or something, so it should tell you. The form isn't that complicated to fill out. It only takes a couple minutes. I would try it. And if it goes through, great. If it doesn't, then you can't do it.
Yeah, I know it tells you if you're submitting it too soon. Like I had one last night. Since I did that other one, I tried to do another one right away, and it must just be a couple days too soon because I got the 15-day notice. Yeah, so I kind of, and I would assume most of you don't have to do this real often, because I don't have to do it real often. I do it in a huge volume. But I basically would just, if I had one that couldn't go through, I just kind of note it off to the side and then, wait a couple days and try it again. That's kind of how I do it. I don't look at, try to calculate the specific date or anything like that. I just file it when it happens. Yeah.
And then if it doesn't go through, I just wait a couple days and try it again.
Yeah.
So.
Same.
I use the Epson ES400II, and I love it. Great.
I think I've heard of a few people using that one.
I didn't know the specific model, but I've heard a few people using Epsons, so maybe it's the same one. But yeah, if that works for you, great. It's kind of like, because I'll get this once in a while too, especially if I do videos on listing and shipping or whatever. I'll get messages from people like, well, what thermal printer do you use? Which I'm happy to share. By the way, I also have that link in my videos if you want to go buy the one that I use. But there's 1,000 of them. You just, whatever, if you want to use a different one, or you want a Bluetooth one, or one that's black, or doesn't matter. You can go buy any of them. They should all do the same thing. So
yeah. Now
Charlie had bought, speaking of thermal printers, he bought one and it was a big pain in the butt and it never really worked for him. So then he ended up ordering the one I have and hasn't had any problems. So
yeah,
that's not to say that every single one you order is going to work great. But there's definitely going to be more than one way, to do it. More than one,
I still have nightmares about that first one I got. It was so frustrating.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you struggled with it quite a bit because you were like, well, how do I do this? And I can't get it to do that. I'm like, I don't know. I plugged mine in and then I printed labels. Other than you have to go to eBay and, change how you're doing your printing. I wasn't using full sheets of paper. You got to switch to 4x6. It's just like Card Dealer Pro, you got to go set up your parameters the first time and all, and your template and all that. But once you have that stuff there, you should be able to pretty much just run the business and not have to deal with it.
Yep, absolutely.
So, but yeah, if you're using the Epson and it works, go for it. Keep going. Let's see. I'm finding I'm getting a few sale of the last year's Topps composite football cards lately. Yeah, it was such a great set. They are unlicensed, but this is kind of how I feel about the composite and Topps Chrome set this year. I feel like they're going to continue to gain in popularity because Topps is coming back.
Yeah,
like licensed Topps, and you're going to see way more Topps than you're ever going to see Panini, in the next couple of years. and people are gonna be like okay with those composite cards and stuff because it's part of the Topps family.
It's a good formula, though. People like Panini Chronicles too.
Right. Yeah, there's all kinds of cool sets in there that you can't get, from just a flat product, right? Like
without
the Midnight. Right. But like Topps Midnight, right? Those are great cards. They're a little thicker, they're refractors. You can't go buy a box of Topps Midnight. You can basketball. They made an actual set for basketball this year. Okay. Of Midnight. But as far as football goes, like that's it. As a matter of fact, I bought a couple more composite cards today as well because I just love them. I think it's a great product.
I picked them up in value boxes too because I think they're great.
It's good value. I mean, here's an Elway refractor. Other than it not having the helmet logo, it's everything else is fine about them. So
yeah,
they're affordable to buy in value boxes for the most part. Heck, even the wax boxes were pretty affordable by today's standards, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen like a pickup in sales in them, but I've been selling them pretty good all along ever since it came out.
Right?
Yeah. And then our local shop had were they megas or hangers? I can't remember. I think it was megas. But they had megas down to like $30 or something for Black Friday. So I picked up a couple more, so it's a product where I've been buying like a few boxes here and there too.
Yeah,
but good stuff. All different teams and 3 of the rookie QBs, Stroud, Young, and the Titans guy, Will Levis, I'm assuming. Yeah, there's a ton of rookies in there. And again, cheap. You can find some of the Strouds in value boxes for $1, because there's so many different rookie cards of those players. But they also have autos, so that was kind of the big draw to that product was those guys were exclusive Topps signers. But yeah, great product.
Agreed. We got a chuckle out of Sparkle.
Good. Yeah, I use the same scanner. Works great overall. So yeah, I assume he's referring to the Epson.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Boomslang, did he say he used the Epson or was he also using the Rico? He was on the Epson, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
I'm looking back. Tank uses the Epson. I think Boomslang uses the 8170.
Okay, there you go. You're welcome.
I like the logo there too. I want to call out your icon there. That looks sharp. I like it.
Rip and Flip, yeah. Rip and Flip is a great little name. It's it's easy to remember. It's kind of self-explanatory. I think that's great for when you're trying to brand.
Absolutely.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. Go for it. We laugh and think you Americans are super. What does super mean?
That's fair.
What is stupor?
You'll have to figure that one out on your own.
I guess.
And it may be a generational thing, right? Like people 10 years younger than us probably aren't as big of fans of Crocodile Dundee, but that for people of our generation, that was probably our first real exposure to anything Australian. As far as I think back to my childhood, I don't know that I really saw anything Australian before that. And of course, I know that is basically a caricature, but it is memorable nonetheless.
Yeah, I agree. It was my first exposure to Australia. So
yeah,
that was fun. Good movies, good time. Funny thing though is I do have a kangaroo in my backyard. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Son of a gun.
They're basically vermin in that country.
Yeah.
Giant rats. Paul Hogan is a legend here. He has a comedy show here for
years called Hoax.
Hoax. It was hilarious. That's awesome. Yeah, he seemed like he'd be kind of a fun guy outside the movies.
Yeah.
And he played the character well, but I have a feeling the character he played wasn't too far outside the box of him as a person.
Yeah.
Like how he would normally be. So I'm a fan. Richo?
Yeah.
Rico?
Boomslang uses the Rico.
Rico, got it.
For the win, he says.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had it now for a little over a year, and I don't regret it at all. I live in the southern part of Western Australia. Southwestern Australia. Okay.
Southern part of Western
Australia. Is that like, I'm going to say this wrong, but it's like Canberra? That's what I was thinking.
Oh, Canberra. Look at you pulling out the Australia city names. Sydney's in the eastern side, right?
I think so. Yeah, we look like real idiots now because we're gonna try to do geography.
Sparkles. Okay, I was right with Perth. That's on the western shore. Look at me.
Yeah, but I think that's northern though. Didn't you say south? Western. Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Mediterranean. Trying to find where. I mean, they have Holiday Inns, so it can't be all bad.
A lot of my past interactions have been with people in the Adelaide area for some reason. Totally random, but seems like that's where I end up going back to all the time in conversations with people from Australia.
Yeah, I believe there's a pretty good population that way, so that kind of makes sense.
What's that restaurant we have that's Australia themed? Outback Steakhouse. Like that's another probably unfair view of Australia that we have in America. I even feel kind of silly when I go in there and I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, we did our geography lesson of Australia.
Yeah. Jack out of the back. Yeah. Canberra is on the east side. Dang it. I was wrong.
Yeah. You failed, sir.
I was trying to picture the map because I don't think about it on the map necessarily, and I don't know. Anyway,
so
5 hours south of Perth. So he does live south of Perth.
South of Perth, okay.
Because Perth,
so
I think Perth is like Albany. There's an Albany
in New York. Not New York, no. Adam.
There's an Albany in Australia, though. I know there's an Albany in Canada.
I'm sure there's many around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Australian geography for 500 would not be where I would start on Jeopardy.
No, definitely not. So, well, we are caught up on the chat, sir.
Nice.
10:04, and we are caught up on the chat.
I like it. So those of you who are watching this recorded, try to join us live every Wednesday, 8 Central Standard Time. As you can see, we get through the chat and have a little fun with that. So those of you watching it recorded, try to do that if you can. It'd be great. We'd love to have you live. But we know the time doesn't work for everybody all the time, so I get that. But if you're able to squeeze us in at some point, that'd be great. So what was the other thing we were gonna talk about offers a little bit. It's come up a lot on the Discord recently, like within the last couple days, about when to send offers, how much % off to offer, and do you send them to everybody? Do you wait? Because essentially once you get a view on your item, it pops in a potential to send an offer, right? And I know it was like a vast array of answers in the Discord. some people are like, I don't know, I don't really look at them. I never send them. Another, somebody else was like, well, I wait till I get like 40 of them, which can take weeks. And then I send them at that time, or somebody else said I look, try to do it once a day, whatever. Charlie and I are totally different than that. We're actually on the same page on this one.
Yeah.
I pretty much pop in there as often as I can to either store, and if there's something eligible to send an offer, I send an offer. I don't care if it's on one of them, because you can do it in bulk.
Yeah.
So if there's 10 there, I go, yep, send an offer. I do a straight percentage amount to every single one of them, and I hit send.
That's what I do.
And if you get a couple bites off of that, great. If you don't, it took, especially now that I can do it in the app.
Yeah.
Before I had to sign into a browser to do it, which kind of made me do it not as often. But now it's like pop it up and hit my percentage and hit send, and I'm done. So
yeah,
takes a few mere seconds. No, the reason I do it so often is because you have that attention of that customer in that moment. Now, you're not going to catch everybody exactly when they clicked on your link, but
yeah,
if you're doing it every hour or two, it should be within a pretty short period of time that person was just interested in purchasing items that were in your store.
right.
So I feel like they clicked on my item for whatever reason, they didn't buy it, but they must have been interested enough, or they wouldn't even been clicked. And then boom, I send an offer, and hopefully that added discount will be enough to push them over the edge. Yep, now I'll buy it. Ironically enough, and I forgot to tell you this, Charlie, but I did have somebody who messaged me once, because I had a big pile of them, a couple hundred of them that I sent at one time. Well, the person messaged me and said, I'm not interested in buying anything. I was just using your links to sell similar. To copy your items. I was like, okay, well, that's fun. So not everybody who looks at your stuff is necessarily there to buy, but I still don't feel bad about sending offers or whatever. Maybe it shook him loose and he'll stop looking at my stuff if he's not a true buyer. But it's so easy to do it. You can do it right in the app. There's a little link right in your selling field that says send offers. So, you don't have to really dig them out. Just hit that. I do it by percentage. You can also do it by dollar amount, I think, right?
You can, yes.
Which I don't do because I have too many variated prices. Try to do that for what I sell anyway. So I just do percentage, and that's good enough.
Yeah, and I mentioned I usually don't do it until I have at least two, so that I can do them in bulk. But that's not even a hard and fast rule for me anymore. When I started selling, if I remember right, you couldn't do the percentage on a single card. You had to have more than one. So that just became a habit for me that I wait until there's two or more, because I always want to do the percentage. Now, the only real personal rule I have is I typically, very rarely would I break this rule, but typically I don't send offers on anything I've listed same day. I usually wait until the next day to send any offers out on something I list today. So that's really the only limitation I put on myself. It would have to be kind of a unique situation if I were to send it out an hour after I listed it, because not that many eyes have even seen it yet, right? Maybe if it was a card I was like, boy, I don't even know if this is going to move, and I was able to send an offer, then I would probably consider breaking my own rule on that and saying, look, I didn't even know if anybody would be interested in this. Heck yeah, I'll send you an offer. But most of the stuff I list is things that I curated out of a value box that I thought there was a market for. So I'm going to at least give it 24 hours or, next calendar day, not really 24 hours, and wait until morning when I wake up to send offers on that. So.
Yeah, I'm totally different than that, because I just go in there, and if it says, I don't even look at what the card is. I don't care. It just says you can send an offer. I just send the offer.
Yeah.
This is the way I feel about the new listings, though, because I don't promote them right away. If somebody's interested right away, I'm happy to give them 5 to 10% off if I don't have to throw it on a promotion later.
Yeah.
Because if you don't send that person an offer and you don't get somebody else to bite on it, now I got to add something to it potentially to try to get this. So I don't know. I figure I price my stuff high enough and I have enough margin in there. If I can give up 10% and get a quick sale, especially with no promoted cost, it's worth it to me. So, and then I don't have to look at them. Like I said, I might, because I'm sure I get more of them than you do too.
Yeah.
So the volume sort of changes how you look at it. But if I go in there and there's 40 of them, I'm not going to look at those. I just hit 10%, hit send, and I'm done.
Yeah. You
So
also price a little higher than I typically do as well,
I
which
do.
is actually
Yep.
another question we just got in the chat about our pricing strategies. Probably a good segue to that.
Yeah, I just had somebody post on one. I just had somebody post on one of my older videos about that. Where do you get your prices from? Do you get them from prior sales? Do you get them? And I'm like, kind of all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. I just feel like I've been doing it long enough that I just kind of know what I could get out of something. I'll price more aggressively on more liquid cards or players.
Yeah.
Price higher, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe like, okay, I have a Jeff Blake refractor card. I don't know how much audience there's going to be for this. I'll probably just go a little bit above recent sales or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be Skechers. I want to be Nike. So I try to price everything at a premium because you're getting my service, my quality guarantee, my fast shipping, tracking information. I'll leave you feedback. I have lots of items listed, so there's lots to choose from. I have bulk discounts, coupons.
Yeah.
So I feel like I add enough that I can ask for more, and I haven't really been disappointed with the results by doing it that way.
Yeah.
It also gives me that cushion to send offers like we just talked about, or accept a lower offer, or add a promotional potential expense to it because I have that breathing room in there.
Yeah. And I have a different analogy than Nike. I often look at 3 retail clothing stores that are owned by the same company. You have Old Navy, The Gap, and Banana Republic, and each of them are marketed differently. I tend to try and be in that Gap zone where it's not the highest, it's not the lowest, it's somewhere in the middle there, and that's just part of my personality too. So it fits for me, and it's something that I try to promote with my logo and my banner and stuff like that too. But we're different also in that I comp probably 80% of my listings, if not 90% of my listings. And then I make some decisions based on what I see out there. So for me, I don't consider a listing a comp. I only consider sales a comp.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at those, if I don't see sales, I'll flip over and look at what's listed. But if I see 60 cards listed at $299 and no sales, am I going to list that card at $299? Hell no. I'm going to list that at, $225 or something like that, because clearly the market is at a price that is lower than what everybody's listing at. If nobody's buying it, it's overpriced, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of make some judgment calls based on that. I will typically price a little above the most recent comps sales when I see them, for the same reasons Adam talks about. I know I'm going to have my coupons. I know I'm going to be sending offers. I know it is part of the trading card culture to haggle. I expect a negotiation and a haggle on every sale, and I get pleasantly surprised when I don't have one.
Yeah, and I guess I look at it like, and I'm going to use your example. Okay, it's at $299 and there hasn't been any sales. I'm still going to price it at $299, because my customer can still get it cheaper than that as long as they buy enough cards. So I feel like I can give them that lower price, but I want something from them to get that lower price. And that's
Yeah,
how I get more multiple card orders.
Yeah.
So I'd price it at $299. If I have a buy 10, get it half price, they can get that card for $1.50, which is still way less than all the other ones that are listed.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to trying to price it to get the single card sale, I don't really have much motivation to do that.
Yeah, at the same time, I think if you price too high, it scares some buyers away because they figure, well, they're never going to go for what I want to pay for it, which is not true. But I think, some people are afraid to ask what they're really willing to pay.
Somebody
Of
just
course, other people are not shy at all when they send that 99-cent offer, right? Dollar offer.
I mean, somebody just paid $6.85 for a Jeff Blake, Bowman's Best Refractor card. So,
yeah,
money isn't the same to everybody. Some people are like, well, I don't want to deal with the auction. I don't want to deal with the haggle. This guy has a good reputation. His store is promoted. He's got a nice logo and lots of good feedback, and he ships fast, and he's got 5 stars on all the rated categories. I'll give this guy the $3 versus the other guys who are asking $2.50.
Yeah,
because 50 cents to me isn't shit versus the fact that I know I'm gonna get what I'm paying for.
Now, the direct question here we haven't really answered is it with the Card Dealer Pro software? And the answer is yes. There's a direct link in your listing as you're creating it to pull both eBay sales and eBay listings.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, you can comp pretty much, even when you're if you're listing directly on eBay with your phone and stuff like that, that pops comps up too on most cards.
Although that's pretty sketchy, I find.
I don't really follow any of it. I price stuff the way I want to price it, and then I'll deal with it later if I don't get a sale and whatnot. But
yeah, the automated eBay comps that pop up, you have to, if you're going to use them, you want to look at what they're using, because a lot of times it's totally different than what you're listing.
Yeah, especially vintage. Vintage can be all over the place.
Yeah.
The other thing I've noticed too is, like, I'll scan in a Derek Jeter rookie card, right? Topps rookie card. And it'll say sales range from $2 to $475. Yeah. And that's because PSA 10s might be priced in there.
Right.
Which you have a raw copy, you can't price it at a PSA 10. So it's, sometimes the range on them is kind of really, kind of out of whack too. But
I never use the range. I always click the link and look at the actual items.
Yeah, and I don't spend the time on most of the cards that way. So it's up to you. You got to decide how it works for you. I also have a big customer following. So for the most part, I know what my customers want, and that's what I buy to resell, and they just go in and they place an order. I don't even know if they look at the prices all the time. It's just, hey, these are the cards that I need, and
that's true.
I have 8 other cards I want, that I know I've seen in the store. I'll do this. I'll get the coupon price, and everybody's happy. So, it depends on where you're at. If you're just starting out, you probably want to price a little more aggressively, because you need transaction history, you need feedback numbers, no one knows who you are. You're going to have to give them the best price in order to take a chance on you. And, you don't have business cards, you don't have a nice logo, you don't have all the elements of your store completed for customers to see where you look professional. And, there's just nothing there for you to ask for extra. Once you have some of that stuff figured out and some time in and some following, then you can start, moving up your prices too.
Yeah.
And trying to get more for your added value.
And Sparkle follows up, how do you review your prices on each card when you have so many listings? And that's I think Adam just touched on that in CDP, it's right there in front of you, quick access, and you get a range if you want to use that. So it's really not that hard to comp anymore if
Right.
you have that software.
And if your question is referring to, well, if I listed a card last year, do I go review the price and try to make it? I don't do any of that.
No,
That's why, like my earlier example, I would just list it at $2.99 like all the other sellers and have the coupon offer, because eventually, even if I can't sell it at $3, eventually someone's going to throw it in with enough other cards to get the coupon price of $1.50.
See, and I think those other $2.99 sellers have a coupon too, and it's still not selling.
But do they have 60,000 listings? Do they have 20,000 feedback? Do they have a 50% off coupon? Like there might not be enough there to get that buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think everybody. There's this complete assumption that everybody shops by price, and I just don't believe that to be true.
I think you're right, but I think there are tiers of sellers, and I think you have achieved a tier that takes you out of the pricing discussion because of the followers you have and the length of time you've done this and the number of listings you have. But I think for sellers like myself that are still in a growth mode, and a lot of the folks that, go on this journey with us, I think price does still matter. If you don't have the other stuff, price matters.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I said earlier, hey, if you're just starting out at this, you probably should price at $1.50. And maybe don't even have coupons because you don't have that many listings. Is that going to entice anyone? Maybe not.
Yeah.
So you just price it aggressively and just hope for the sales that way. And when I started, I comped a lot more stuff, and I did that too. That's also a way for you to learn. You can kind of learn how to price.
Bingo.
By doing that research, and then in the future you can be like, well, I always sell these Josh Allen base cards for $2.99. I'm just going to list them at that. And you might go, well, this is a better brand or a set that's less printed. Okay, I'll ask $3.99 for this one.
Yeah.
Because it should be. I don't really need to look that up. I don't want to look up every $2 card. I list 3,000 cards a week. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
it's just too time consuming and not really. It doesn't have enough value. No, if I get like a really weird card, or something that seems like it should have more value because it looks like some parallel or it's a serial numbered card or something like that. Yeah, I look that stuff up. I don't just take a shot in the dark. Oh, yeah. This is like your example earlier. Well, this is a yellow back short print. I don't know what these are selling for. I'm not going to just list it at $2.99.
Right.
I'm going to look that card up. Oh, geez, you're right. The last one went for $60, $80, $70. Especially the higher price stuff, you're going to want to comp some. You don't want to leave that much money on the table, but so I'm not saying like I don't look at anything and just make up numbers and hope, I'm more business sense than that for sure.
Yeah.
But time management is a huge part of what we do. You can't spend, 10 minutes of time on every $1.99 card. You can't. You're never going to get anywhere.
And I think not like super disciplined on this, but I think informally, sometimes you think about tiers for type of card too, right? Like for base cards, I look for about this. For inserts, I look for about this. For parallels, I look for about this. As kind of like a starting point, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can give you an example of an order I literally just got like 5 minutes ago. Let me just pull it up here quick. It's somebody who bought a ton of Matthew Stafford stuff, right? Not generally currently seen as like a hot buy.
Yeah.
But clearly it's somebody who is either a Rams fan or a Lions fan or a Matthew Stafford fan. So if I go look at this order, There's a blue press proof in here. There's a legacy base card, a 2014 prestige base card. So that's like a third year card, less printed. So I asked more for that. 2019 score, 2019 player of the day, which are those little silver pack ones you get at hobby shops. There's an unparalleled in there. An XR, a 2017 optic, again, a lower printed year. So, like, I know all that stuff. That's just knowledge in my head. So when I get a 2017 optic Matthew Stafford card, I pretty much know what to price it at because I know all my pieces that I need to know in order to come up with an accurate price are there. 2018 Absolute, a 2020 Select base, 2019 Prism base. So it's just a bunch of base common cards, and I'm asking anywhere from $1.99 to basically $2.99 for those cards. Now, how many people have a 2020 Optic Matthew Stafford card listed for $2.99 and are getting a sale on it? Probably not a lot. That's probably a higher price.
Yeah.
But I also price with the idea in the back of my head that somebody's probably going to buy 10 of these and I'm going to end up selling it for $1.50. And I'm okay going down to $1.50, which is the price other sellers are selling it at, because I get 10 cards out the door for one shipping price. You see what I'm saying? So my strategy is more, I don't really want the single card sale. I don't care if my price is higher than the next guy's because I don't want them to buy just a 2020 optic base Matthew Stafford card. That takes me more time. I got to pull the card. I got to, sleeve it. I got to put it in an envelope, print a label, blah, blah, blah. I want that person to buy 10 cards and then I just make one label and I ship them all at once.
Right.
And I get to keep a lot more of that money. Because that selling that card at $1.50 is the same as selling it at $3, but it's a single card sale. Because of the reduction in the costs and the fees and the expenses.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
I do. I also see that the longer I do this, the more I see that the real challenge in this business is getting the consistent multi-card sales. And
that hasn't really been that much of a challenge for me. I mean, if you watch my sales day videos, you'll see it's like.
Yeah, but you're not going to tell me that was how it was from day one, right?
No. Yeah. No, I'm speaking for me. He's asking, how do you price and how do you?
Right.
This is how I do it.
This is how I do it. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So and I clarified that earlier. I said, well, and I have this many followers and I can do, and I have enough quantity listed that I can have somebody come in and find 20 Stafford cards they want.
Right.
Versus if you've got 100 listings, you probably don't have 20 of them probably aren't Matthew Stafford's base cards.
Right.
So your pricing needs to you can kind of evolve it based on the value you can offer.
Yeah.
So day one, I have no listings. No one knows who I am and my feedback is 10. No, you don't go for the gold. No one's going to buy from you. You go, well, the lowest listing on here is $1.30. I'm pricing at $1.30. And you take your 3 cents after expenses on that sale, and you have one completed successful sale, and that's the value. It's not the money.
Yeah.
So, and I sold one other Stafford card. He paid for separately because sometimes my listings aren't exactly matched. I went through and redid all my business policies, so like 99% of them match. There's a couple stragglers here and there where it gets paid separately, but it's a 2019 score rainbow foil signal collars, so at least it was a $5 card. That got paid for separately. But it's, if you're gonna do low end stuff, it should be a volume game. Your goal should be to do volume because that's the only way you're gonna make any real money. Margins are great. Margins are always great on penny stocks, right? But you got to sell a lot of them for it to equal real money.
Absolutely. Tank calls back to our discussion on offers. He says churn and burn. If someone's interested in it, regardless of how long it's been listed, they'll get an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny M says he uses Sell the Peak when he does a comp.
Yeah, he's mentioned that in the past.
Actually sold for.
Yeah, that is a good app. I did download it. It does work pretty well. And that might be something that I use more regularly on like bigger cards when I do comp. I'm still not going to comp every dollar. Let me ask you this, Charlie, right? So let's say I give you a 2019 Optic base Matthew Stafford card.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to look that up for comps?
Probably not.
Right. So, and what are you going to price that at?
Probably $1.99.
$1.99.
Yeah.
So that's a good majority of the types of stuff that we sell.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you're comping 80% of cards anymore. I would say when you started, you sure were.
Yeah.
I bet your percentage is a lot lower than you think it is.
When I'm in Card Dealer Pro, unless I'm doing a really big batch at a time, or if I'm running short on time, I at least click on the sold listings in the CDP listing every time, just to get it. It may be a 2-second glimpse at first couple cards that come up. Like, I'm not spending a ton of time on it, but I still look at the majority of them. Now, there is some really basey stuff that I'm like, these are all that same thing. I'm not going to check everyone. There may be one or two players with a name I'm like, oh, they may have a little more on the market that I check, but the rest of them, then I wouldn't.
Well, like even that Stafford example, and you click on the link, you're not really comping. You're just looking to verify that.
That's true. It's more of a validation.
Know the price. Right.
Yeah.
So that's different than comping. So I just kind of wanted to add some clarification that when you're new, yes, you should comp a ton of stuff, especially if you're new to the hobby entirely, let alone trying to sell stuff, because you're going to get burned too much, or you're going to end up way overpriced. There's a limit to how much you can price up, and just flat out won't get a sale too. So, but yeah, I think most of us I kind of have my basis of what I do for certain players, certain cards, certain sets, and then if things are out of bounds or things I haven't had much experience with before, then I'll look.
Yeah.
Vintage is tough because sometimes I don't know what year is their rookie year, and it didn't say rookie on the cards back then, and condition affects prices a lot more.
Yeah.
So there's just things that you can't just go, well, I comp every single. No, that's not true. It's going to be based on the situation.
Yeah.
And I would still say, when you've been doing this long enough, the vast majority of them, what price you're going to charge.
Yeah.
You're just looking to verify it.
And in fairness, there's times that I'm going through my backstock boxes at home where I'll take a card and put it right into a value box. Well, what have I done? I've just comped it out of eBay without looking anything up, right?
Right.
So you kind of build up that knowledge. What I would say as a general rule of thumb that might come in handy is the weirder it is, maybe the more likely you comp it. Because
chances are it's more valuable too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You've seen 100 copies of this Ohtani card, and all of a sudden you got one that's got a black border on it. That's probably worth something different, and you need to look at it.
Yeah.
So I agree, and those are the ones that I would look at as well. But I'm not gonna. I've seen this Ohtani base card 100 times. I'm not gonna look it up. It doesn't. The time consumption is, if it's in Card Dealer Pro, you're right. That's a different scenario because you can just click on that link and it pops it up real quick. Yep, I'm right. It's a $2 card. Great. Get your price on the field and move on. So
yeah, and like a good example of the weirder the better. Take this 2010 Topps You Sketch It card. It's a blank canvas card. I came across this at a show a couple months ago, and I almost left it. I honestly had no intention of buying it. There was a couple of them. And then the dealer said, hey, you might be surprised at what those go for, which I had built a relationship with the dealer. So luckily I did that. He cued me in on that. What do you think this card goes for?
What is it? I can't even really see. It's just a You Sketch It
2010
card.
Topps You Sketch It.
From what set?
2010 Topps base.
Yeah, baseball, football, Marvel.
Baseball, I believe.
You Sketch It card.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a player on it. It doesn't have a team on it. Nothing.
Correct.
I don't know. I probably guess like $6 or $7.
You would be right on. Right on. I actually sold this one a little bit lower at $5. But when I first saw it in the box, I had no interest in it. I was like, who wants that? Who's going to do that? But the weirder it is, the more as you learn, you're probably going to want to check those comps.
See, and I kind of had a feel for that price too, because I've seen blank sketch cards from non-sport.
Yeah.
And they kind of go for about the same. Unless it features a specific character or artist or something like that.
Yeah.
Then
you
that
have
price,
some experience with them.
Correct.
Yeah.
So now something like that, even though I pretty much nailed the price, would I still comp it? Probably. That's one I probably would have looked at, because you're right, it's weird enough.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep. It's a learning curve on it for sure. Tank is transitioning from mainly Pokemon to including sports. Holy cow, it takes so much longer to list because of not knowing comps. Pokemon is so much easier for me. That's funny because we talked earlier. We're the opposite.
Said it the other way around. Yeah, and this brings this circles back to, we were just talking about pricing and comping, and exactly right. It comes back to, well, this is a new thing for me. When I look at Pokemon, I have no clue what any of it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, obviously I know who Charizard is. I know who Pikachu is. I know the main characters, just like I'm sure you know who Joe Montana is, but it doesn't necessarily translate into what is it worth,
Right.
So for me, I'm going to have to look at pretty much all those cards, because I don't know, and then I look for the standout features. Oh, it's a reverse holo. It's a full art. Like, I know some of the general, things you're going to look for. Oh, it's a VMAX. It's a, what's the other one? In this Journey Together one, it's like minus NSN or something like that is before the character's name. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Pokemon blows my mind. I don't know a lot of it, but you're right. If you're going back the other way and you're going to sports, it's going to take you a while for sure.
Yep.
And there's some weird stuff in sports too. Like,
there is
really weird parallels. We were just talking about short prints earlier, how they change how they even identify them every year. So it's like, well, I know how they do this. Well, no, because it's not the same this year. Or for the last 5 years, the golds were all numbered to 10, but this year the golds are numbered to 25, and now the blacks are numbered to 10.
Right.
So you can't even just go, oh, well, this is a gold. It's numbered to 10. I priced it at this. Well, no, the serial number is to 50. So obviously that's going to lower the price, or it should lower the price, higher number. So, and Pokemon has no serial numbers. So you don't have to deal with that. Well, you're going to deal with that more with sports cards. That plays a big part. So many parallels, so many players, so many. Baseball can be super confusing, because it's like you've got Bowman, and then Bowman Draft, and then Bowman Chrome, and then Bowman, even Topps. You got Topps Series 1, Series 2, Update.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm listing an insert card, it's like, is this Topps Series 1 or Topps Series 2? I don't know.
Yeah, after the current year, I don't even worry
about care.
Series 1 or Series 2. I just put Topps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do too. So
the only time I put the series is when I'm ripping it fresh, like the week of release. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what it is.
Yeah.
There's some of it where it's just not that important. It really doesn't matter if it's Series 1 or Series 2. No one's going to care.
Yeah.
So update, because it says US and then the number. So, if I flip the card over and it's US 45, I go, oh, that's Topps Update Series card number 45. So sometimes it's, easily identifiable for different sets, but you might look at, we were talking about composite football earlier, right? So let's say you've got a Allen and Ginter Jerry Rice card. You might list it as 2023 Allen and Ginter Jerry Rice because you don't know it came from a composite product.
Right.
XR, right? I just talked about a Matthew Stafford XR card. Well, that's a Chronicles product for a few years. It was a standalone product, and then they threw it in Chronicles.
Right.
So, that year it should really be listed as Chronicles XR Matthew Stafford, not just XR, because the set is technically Chronicles.
Yep.
So yeah, it's the confusion just mounts and mounts and mounts. There's, I try to get my listings as accurate as possible, but I don't spend hours and hours and hours researching a $1.99 card to make sure I put the right series on the listing. It just doesn't matter that much.
Yep. Yeah, so Tank says he listed 150-ish Pokemon cards in 15 minutes, but he took about an hour to list the same with sports because he's still learning it, and that's to be expected. Sparkle Sports Card says he just purchased a secondhand scanner, and they're thinking about buying the software to help me. I think Adam and I would both agree that we are advocates of Card Dealer Pro. We like what they've done with the software. We like the service they provide. For example, we did mention at the beginning of the show, I had some issues with my account over the weekend. My account renewed for the month, and I made my payment, and my scans renewed. But then something happened where I logged in this weekend when I got back to town, and it said, you need to reactivate your account. And every time I tried to reactivate, it said, you already have an active account. So I emailed one of the key principals of the company, and he responded back to me and said, hey, sorry about this. Really sorry. It's a known issue. Should be good to go now. And sure enough, it was fixed. So so companies go through a lifespan. They're a new emerging company. They're growing, and then they become this big monster, right? And over my opinion, strictly my opinion, but their customer service is really high in the beginning, but then as they get too big, it kind of planes off, right? Card Dealer Pro is still in a stage in their existence where you get really good customer service. So I've been a big fan of theirs so far.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely things that I think need improvement, and we're fortunate enough that we have, a contact there that we can express some of those concerns to. And they have been addressed for the most part. Like when your batch of scans doesn't show up and you get charged for those scans, that's crap.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way to, okay, well, instead of charging you as soon as you add the photos, it should charge you when you go to, I don't know, complete your listing, or you download the CSV file. Now it charges you, or
right.
You list them to eBay or collects. Now it charges you. Like it should be when your batch is completed and you're actually using that file is when you should be paying. Like there's just little things like that. When they started out, I didn't feel like it was very good. I wouldn't have bought into it. I didn't buy into it. But when 2.0 came out, we spent some time on it. It seemed like a much better quality software. And then ever since, they've been adding new sets a little faster. They added non-sport. They've added gaming. Pokemon, for example, is all in there. So, yeah, it's a lot more robust. They have a lot more to offer now, and it definitely saves you time on stuff you can scan in.
Yeah, we've been really happy with what we've seen so far with the developments. And we expect there will continue to be more developments that make it even better.
And if you want to try it out, you can use my referral code, which is $box, not the $box, just $box. And they'll give you 500 free scans. So you don't even have to, you obviously have to create an account, but you don't have to subscribe to a plan. You don't have to do any of that up front. You can simply create an account, use my code, get 500 scans, try it. If you don't like it, just leave. You don't have to use it. If you do like it, then you can sign up for a plan. They range anywhere from, I think, $10 a month up to like $50 or $60 a month, depending on how many scans you want. So I strongly suggest, anybody, especially if you have a scanner, if you haven't tried Card Dealer Pro, give it a shot. So it's just $box is the referral code.
There you go. Rip and Flip says, thanks, guys. Pretty proud of the name, too. Problem is, we've all been here. Problem is, I ripped more than I flipped. That's why I'm here to learn.
Yeah, and, one of the other things with names like that, too, is there's a lot of, like, renditions of it, right? There's a lot of, John rips and Charlie flips, and, see, it can be easy too sometimes to get confused with somebody else who uses rip or flip in their title, which is common in our hobby. But rip and flip, I like it. It rolls off the tongue. You can do a lot of fun things with the logo with it and stuff. So yeah, I think it's good. It definitely describes what you do. Where you are in the hobby, so that's good too.
Right.
I remember way back in January, that was 3 months ago, 2 months ago, so long back. Anyway, I first started the whole eBay thing, and I told myself that the cards I want to sell are only of the quality of what I want in my collection. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, if you don't want to, I know people who've got bought lots of cards, and the ones that aren't completely mint, they throw in the garbage. To me, that's crazy. Why not just try to sell it? But yeah,
he's adapted though.
That can be that. Well, I know, but before we get to that, I wanted to address the first comment. But that could be your niche too. You could be like, oh, we only sell, that's kind of what Greg Morris Cards does. He's very big on like certain conditions and stuff, and he gets higher prices pretty much for all of his stuff because people are like, I know Greg Morris went through this thing with a magnifying glass, and I'm going to get exactly what he says it is, added value there. So that's something you could do, definitely. Well, here we are in early April, and almost 50% of my sales are cards that have defects like creases, ink, or stained. You'd be surprised at what a buyer will buy. I've had cards that, been through the wash 100 times, and I list them in poor condition, and boom, they sell. So, yeah, there are buyers for all kinds of different things, especially vintage. I think people like vintage cards that are a little more worn. There's something added to the art because of that. A card that's had a life, a card that's went through some wheel spokes, maybe been rode over a few times, attached to the pack by the gum and has the stain. There's as long as you're disclosing it and it's clear to what they're getting, and you're trying to price, not mint if it's not mint. You can definitely get sales for that stuff. Miscut cards, error cards, like all those things have their place.
Rip and Flip appreciates that boom slang.
Mm-hmm. CDP needs to add more characters in the title, as it drives me crazy when it says error too many. Yeah, but
right now.
Right, but that's because that's what eBay allows, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so they're just replicating that, because if you go to upload it and you have 90 characters, it won't upload to eBay.
Right.
So it wouldn't matter if they allowed more characters. You'd be screwed on the upload side. If you're uploading to collects, they might allow more characters. I'm not sure. That might be an argument against limiting the characters, but I'm pretty sure the main reason they do it is because of that's what eBay says you can do.
Yeah, it's off sometimes. I even find like the CDP will push it through, but then it fails. The upload, I should say. So CDP software did a count that was like 1 or 2 characters off of what eBay was showing. So,
well, you might have like a space in there somewhere, front or back, and eBay counts it, and CDP doesn't. I don't know. Who knows?
But I do agree. Like, I would take that to eBay though and say, hey, you need to give us another dozen characters or something, because these manufacturers make some really long names. Like, some of them are crazy. And then you're like, what do I take out? What do I abbreviate? And you're spending time having that whole thought process.
You know what eBay is going to tell you?
What?
You can add that into your subtitle section.
Yeah, for a fee. Yeah.
But then they're going to charge you. Yep, they want to charge you for that character space.
Well, I think we got one more tonight, so we're almost at 11. Sparkle Sports Card says, does the software have the latest Topps and Panini product released in 2025? So there's a little bit of a lag. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Adam, but I always feel like it's about a 2-week lag time from release date to when you start to see them populate in CDP.
Yeah, for me, it's been like, well, that's pretty much 2 weeks, but for me, it's been like 10 business days. So let's say a set came out on a Monday, you're not going to have it for that week. You're not going to have it for the next week. And then Monday of the following week, it's likely to be there.
Yeah.
And if you need to get stuff on quicker than that, which if it's first to market type race, you're going to have to do it on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and
that's just how it goes. I'm sorry, go ahead. No, you go.
I was going to say, the only other thing I would add to that is that delay is not always a deal breaker for me. I have found other value in CDP in addition to just matching the cards up. I find value in the banner it puts it on. I find value in the templates I have set up to make it look just the way I want it. So I will at times rip something brand new. And if the mood strikes me, I will still use CDP and I will do a bulk edit on everything with the new set's name. And I also find that there's this little in-between period where they don't auto match to those new sets, but they are in CDP.
Right.
And if you put in the set name and the card number, then it'll pull it.
Yep, I found that too. And then, you just have to add your images because, of course,
so
they don't have an image library for it.
Take Topps 2025 Series 1 when we did it. A couple of days later, I just sent them through Card Dealer Pro, and then I went to the overview view. That's a double view, overview view. And then I bulk fill in 2025 Topps Series 1. Then I go back to the inspector view, which is the 1x1. And then in the matching field, I click in there. It automatically fills in 2025 Topps Series 1. I just add 65, and now suddenly it pulls my card in.
Yep.
Yeah. So just because it doesn't look matched right away or it may look like that set is not in there. That's not always the case. What I recommend is when you get something really hot and fresh off the printing presses, just try to do one of them to see what's actually in there before you put 100 in.
Right, because that's the other thing. That's what my point earlier with Card Dealer Pro. They'll burn you that way because you'll scan 100 of them in, and then you'll say, well, I can't use this. This isn't going to help me. And now you just burn through 100 scans for no reason.
Right.
So I'll even do that with older sets. Like, geez, is this, playing card set in Card Dealer Pro? Probably not. But you know what? I've got this stack of, football cards I know are in there. I'll throw one of these in there and I'll send it through.
Yep.
And if it doesn't pull it up, well, then I got to list those on their own. And I only used up one scan to find out my answer. But I do that a lot. That little search box on there to find the right card is, invaluable because, I scan this card in and it comes in as the regular John Elway card. This is the Black Pandora Parallel 101 or whatever. You can click in that box and it should bring up, different variations of John Elway, and you can just click on the correct card. You don't have to start all over.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess my point with all that is we all want the perfection of Card Dealer Pro being absolutely no touch, right? And most of the time, that's what you get. But don't sell it short when it's just short of perfection, because you can still get a lot of value out of it yet.
Well, and you have to look at it on the business value side too. You only want to pay so much for this service. If the more it does, the more it's probably going to cost you too. And how much competition is it going to invite? A lot of the reason we can do what we do is because other people don't want to do the work.
Right.
Well, that's any job really, right? The reason that people have lawnmower jobs is because I don't want to mow my freaking lawn. So, I pay somebody else, right? I mean, otherwise what would be the value of it? Anybody can mow a lawn, it's like, okay. You have to provide value. So I think if they make it too easy, I think there's just going to be too many random people in there, and you're going to have all these kind of bad sales, and that's going to push some people away because they had a bad experience, on eBay, and now they won't. So let's keep it where it does take a little bit of work and a little bit of effort from those of us that, want to pursue this and take it seriously. And then it kind of weeds out the bad hands naturally that way.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Kind of like earlier when I said, well, eBay isn't letting us do listings and everybody was freaking out. I was like, oh, it's probably a good thing for me. I got 60, 70,000 cards listed. Nobody else can list. If nobody else can list today, I'll probably get a boost in sales,
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to kind of find an angle to things sometimes. Keeps you sane. So, all right. If we're all caught up, I think we could end it here. We had some good discussion, and yeah. So we do have the draft coming up. I'll be in downtown Lambeau, and I'm going to do a video. So I'm going to try to share some draft moments with you guys. So something new and different for the channel. I'm excited about that. What else we got coming up? We got the GOAT show on June 8th, so don't forget about that. We've still got a few tables available. It's free admission, great location, historic Riverside Ballroom in Green Bay, Wisconsin. If you need help with accommodations, if you're coming from somewhere else, let us know. We can give you a hand with that. If you're looking for tables, message us or email what is it? The GOAT show. Wait, what is it? I always get the email wrong. Green Bay GOAT show.
Card show at
the GOAT card show.
Right?
I always forget the card word. I don't know why. The GOAT card show at Gmail is where you can contact us, and anyone from our team will help you then with, finding accommodations, getting a table, any questions you may have. We're still working on the charity part of it. We do have a charity. We just don't have it nailed down enough where we're going to add it to the flyer yet. We are giving away an autographed Marcus Allen helmet. We do have another potential giveaway item too that one of our vendors wants to provide. And then I got a bunch of just commons. There's some stars and stuff in there too of cards from a vendor, and I'm going to make some kids packs. So we'll have some extra packs to give away too.
There we go.
Yeah. So free admission, bring your kids, come find a GOAT and get yourself some free bucks for the show. Charlie and I will be doing a live show from there again. We had a good time doing that, and we really look forward to that. I know it's a couple months out, but still, that means there's enough time to plan, so that's good. No excuses. So we've got that. Trying to think of what else is coming up. Try to do some more sales day videos. Get those in. If I've got a lighter day, I can do it. It's just hard because a lot of the sales days are so big. It's just hard to get the time to do it. I did post my stack from the weekend sales on Discord, and I always love the, messages back. Oh, that gives me anxiety, or what if that falls? And I literally just stack it up to take the picture because I like the bin because it shows a good relationship to how tall the stack is. Otherwise, it's kind of like, what am I looking at here? But yeah, so I try to do that at least, post in the Discord once in a while, where I'm at with sales and filling orders and stuff. But yeah, I think that's about it. Do you have anything to add, Charlie?
I still ship all weekend long, so I don't have a big stack like that, and I have no anxiety when it comes to Monday morning.
I don't have any anxiety either. No, I try not to work on the weekends. That's something that, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be self-employed, to, control my schedule a little bit more. But it's almost getting to the point where I got to do a little bit more on the weekends because Monday is getting pretty crazy. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. So maybe work a little more on the weekend and then a little less during the week. Maybe I can compensate that way. We shall see.
Yeah. All right. So I think the only other thing I have to say is remember, when you see the goat, we're talking about some of the greatest of all time.
And remember, you can't sell what you don't list. We'll see you next week, people. 8 o'clock Central Standard Time.